It says no audio. People are saying no audio. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to History of Westeros live stream action. It's been a minute, hasn't it? Everybody can hear us okay? I think there are people saying no sound.
What?
We can. Okay. They couldn't hear the intro sound. Okay. Now. Okay. Well, you guys missed the
That's
intro
hilarious.
music. So sorry to deny you of our catchy intro music.
I'm just going to do, can I just do a test on that? We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. We make sure our sound is going to work for other things.
It should have worked right there. Okay, I just wanted to see, could you hear that little bit of sound? Just let me know. We're not gonna play the intro, but I wanted to know if anyone could hear that. You should be able to hear it.
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. Very, very good to be back. We've done, I've been on some gaming streams, and some of you have come to those, but we haven't done a content live stream in a good minute.
Just for that, I think they were all saying.
Okay, so there's still no sound on the external.
But for us, there's sound. Yeah. Oh well, just on the intro. I don't know why that is.
They're just not as good as us. And they're not as worthy.
You have to listen harder.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That's a thing. It's an issue because we have a bunch of media that we're trying to play in this episode. So if that's an issue, we need to figure that out. Okay. But I'll let you continue.
Okay, I'll be working. We'll let Ashaya maybe try to figure that out while we get this started. So, yeah, again, welcome back, everybody. Look, yes, long live Todrick Stark. I got my Todrick Stark shirt on, of course. Everybody needs to know the legend of Todrick Stark.
All three of us have Todrick Stark shirts, as it happens, thanks to Chuck L. of Fan Maniacs. That's F-A-N-A Maniacs. And Chuck actually also helped me with this cosplay that I'm wearing. He applied the patches for me and all that. So shout out to him and his website.
Absolutely. If you are a fan of The Expanse, you may recognize this get-up that Ashaya's in. It's very cool. It's a Tycho Station jumpsuit decorated with some rainbow flags. And it's awesome and hot, and we love it. She wore it at Dragon Con, which is one of our topics for today.
Yeah,
to be clear,
I'm wearing it.
We do all have Todrick Stark shirts.
Yes.
Shay is not wearing hers. Aziz and I are wearing ours.
That's Todrick Stark. Yeah.
You all know the legend, of course. So.
But, of course, yeah, we know, we all know what's up. Ashaya's costume is cooler than our shirts, even though our shirts are cool. But that's how it is. Ashaya's the best, so you can't hope to top that. What can you do? Yes, the pockets. Of course, Rita mentions the pockets. Something that women often don't have a lot of on their clothing. So Ashaya was experiencing the joy of many pockets.
6 again.
Six pockets.
I can fit an Instax camera in my pockets, and I'm happy to see you.
Well, thank you to Stephen Stark for the first super chat of the day, and also thanks to Karen Sita, who unfortunately says she has to go to work. But yes, thanks for mentioning to smash that like button. It does help us get noticed. And I'm sure you can catch the replay. So here's how we're going to do things today. We have a lot to cover. And we have several announcements. We have news, we have discussions, we have new material to catch up with. So in light of all that, we have created a new Patreon goal. If we can get about $250 more added to our Patreon, we're going to make a regular live stream event the first Saturday of every month. And it'll be this time, roughly, or early Saturday generally is one of the best times for people for all time zones. There's people in Europe, there's people on the West Coast, so it's hard to find a time zone that works for everybody. So this is basically the best we can do in that regard. And if we can get that goal, then we'll do this every Saturday. Like I said, first of the month. It'll be really fun to have a regular time to hang out with everybody, discuss whatever's new, recent content, recent conventions, just whatever's going on. And as you'll see in this episode, well, we have so much built up. We'd like to not build up so much to talk about it once. We'd rather space it out a little more and be more regular. So let's try to make that a reality. Thanks also to Rebecca Lady of Waves, for the super chat as well. Appreciate that. How many do we need watching to get Sean to dance? How many? Okay, Sean. Well, how many do we need watching to dance? You answer that question.
How many do we have now?
Good question.
We have a number that is hard for me to check. Okay, 80.
80 so far.
Okay, so if we get 8,000.
The number times 100, apparently.
I sort of owe a dance already. I think that I said when the Facebook group got to 1,000.
Oh, yeah, we are at 1,000.
But someone did get a clip of me dancing at Dragon Con. I kind of felt covered by that, but maybe not. I don't know.
You say like someone got a clip of you dancing at Dragon Con?
Someone very awesome and special.
Okay, I was like, what are you talking about? It's not
Rita
someone.
of the Coppermane.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, Geek Fury says we're up to 92, which is almost 8,000. So you better warm up. Start stretching.
I was born warmed up.
When it comes to dancing, anyway. Okay, so here's how we're handling the giveaway part of this episode. Like I said, we have a lot to cover. We'll start with the explanation for the giveaway. First of all, what we're giving away. First, we're going to give away a bath bomb from Fire Suds, which is a lovely...
Three bath bombs.
A pack of bath bombs.
Can you use all three at once?
I don't recommend it, but yes, you can.
Aziz got to experience these bath bombs last night. So let me tell you.
I am a bath dude. I'm a dude who likes
I call him
baths.
Bathman.
Bathman. Yes, Bathman. Yeah. And yeah, I did try one of them last night. They're shaped like little dragon eggs. Shay's got some photos of them, and they're kind of designed like Daenerys's dragon eggs.
Yes, I have photos of Aziz in the bath. Oh yeah, and no, but more importantly, I do have pictures of the bath bombs, is what you're telling me right there, which you can now see.
There they are. Look at that, very beautiful. So, Fire Suds is the brainchild of fandom person Brittany King, and she has her store on Etsy. So we hope this helps generate a little business for her. And of course, she was generous enough to send a couple packs of these. She sent 2 3-packs, and I used the blue and green one last night.
Yeah, you can see again here.
And,
Aziz was very glittery.
I was covered in glitter. And
exfoliating glitter.
Yes, it was, but it was very nice. I woke up with much smoother skin, as you can see. Yes.
LML wants the one that you used.
I'm sorry, I'm just too distracted with stroking myself. Yes, yes.
Soft.
Does LML want another green and blue one, like the one?
No, he wants the
actual one.
one.
He wants us to collect that water and recondense it.
That's it.
We'll have to go septic tank diving to retrieve that, I think.
So
we'll leave it to Aziz to turn a beautiful image gross.
I'm good at that. So the way we're going to do the giveaway is we're going to announce at some point during the stream, we're going to say, hey, everyone, send an email to WesterosHistoryGiveaway@gmail.com, and you're going to have to send the email right then. You're going to only have about 3 to 5 minutes to do it. Oh, I see Brittany is in the chat, so say hey to her, everyone. She's the person behind the lovely bath bombs. They smell really good too.
Yeah, they do smell very good.
And so we'll be giving, that'll be what you'll send the email to WesteroSHistoryGiveaway@gmail.com when we say. And it's only going to be a short window. So only emails that arrive during that short window, we'll check the timestamps, are going to be eligible. That way people who aren't live can't jump in, and people can't cheat and send a lot of... Yeah,
you're not live, you're dead to me.
Yeah. So that's how that's going to work. And then we're going to do that again later in the episode with a signed hardcover copy of Game of Thrones signed by George R. Look, there it is, the photo.
Here.
Check it out. Shaya put it on screen for y'all. Yeah, I had him sign the last page instead of the beginning. People normally get this book signed at the beginning, but I got it signed at the end.
You can also see what the book is.
Yeah.
Which edition it is.
That's right. We purchased it in San Jose at Worldcon, and we're going to talk about Worldcon at the end of the stream. Sean can't be here for the whole episode. You know, the real world calls, work, etc. And so we're going to talk about the stuff that Sean was not involved with at the end and the stuff he is involved with here at the beginning. So the book giveaway will be done the same way as the bath bomb giveaway. We'll announce it during the stream. It'll probably be in the second half, and you all will be able to send your emails, and we'll announce who the winners are. We'll have your email addresses, so we'll know who you are. And please include what country you're in, because it's going to affect shipping for us and all that, but we will get it to you one way or the other. Okay.
Don't include it so Aziz can't discriminate.
I refuse to send the book to anyone in
Madagascar.
Yes, Madagascar.
Or the moon. No one on the moon.
Yeah, or the moon. Screw the moon. Those Moonanites. We don't like.
We also have something about Shire Post to chat about.
Yeah. So
right?
One of the things, if we get our Patreon goal of having this recurring live stream, the gift part of it will be recurring as well. We will always give something away. We've already got the next thing lined up for whenever that comes, which if you know our Patreon gets to the goal soon, then it will be soon. Shire Post Mint coins. I love the Shire Post Mint coins. Of course, the name Shire Post is supposed to make you think of Lord of the Rings. That is, in fact, what it was first made for. This was a small business, just a family-run business. These coins are pressed in their basement, and
these coins in particular that I was just showing, just that I put on a little prematurely, as it turns out, are pre-conquest coins for anyone asking about what the deal was with that. Someone asks, if I live in Atlanta, will you deliver personality? They mean personally, I think.
We always deliver personality, I hope.
It's true.
Only
but
in
no,
Atlanta.
we would probably deliver it personally if you lived in Atlanta and you requested that, sure.
So Shire Post has already told us that they would give us some coins to give away to y'all. So we already have that set. It's just a matter of when we're going to do it.
Pre-conquest coins are extremely fitting for us. So
yeah,
you
there's
can
Roynar
see
with a turtle shield.
Yeah, I put that front and center. But yeah, there's the Kings of Salt and Rock. There's, the Arctic Aaron Star, and there's what are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We have a few of those coins already.
Not these ones, but yes,
there's something like 11 or 12
yeah.
New coins they introduced.
Steven Stark, who's watching, I think, gave me some.
He gave you, I think, maybe one of the Bravos ones. I think it was. Yeah,
so we've had them for a while. We have a bunch.
We have a couple of Kellon Greyjoy pennies. The Faceless Man coin, like you said. There's the Daemon Blackfire Golden Dragon. Yeah, they've done a few already, and they've done other fandoms. They've done. I believe there's some Stormlight Archive coins that they've done. They've definitely done Conan. Mistborn, that's what I was thinking. If it wasn't Stormlight Archive, it was
would be weird for them to have.
You're right.
Them to have the spheres.
The spheres, you're right.
That'd be impossible, but yeah, I don't know how they're going to fill them with Stormlight.
Got my Brandon Sanderson novels crossed up. So yeah, there's that, and then there's the Conan, Hyperborean, and King Killer Chronicles. Yeah, so they're really branching out and doing some cool stuff. So we want to definitely, promote them more and get y'all ready for a giveaway next time around.
Real quick, I just want to point out, if anyone can notice, that shadow right there, that's Jaken's shadow.
Oh, we have the cat in black and white.
Cat ears appear in a shadow there.
That's funny.
You never know. He's lurking. He could be coming for us. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that explains our giveaways. And
by the way, I just have to say, I have to make an announcement about how many announcements we have in this episode. Aziz and I are astounded. Truly astounded. We have a lot more coming for you later this episode.
And this is why we need to do this more regularly, I think. Yeah. So so let's get through these as quickly as we can so we can get to the most important
Big news is that
content.
we're now on Spotify.
Yeah, how cool is that? We're on Spotify now.
I listen to Spotify all the time, so I'm particularly happy about that news.
Yeah, I'm a recent convert to Spotify. Shay and I just got
she discovered
that family plan. Since we're in the same house, I can get on Spotify on her account for free. So just in time, we're all getting all Spotified up over here.
I didn't even think of it till just now, but is there a potential to be on Pandora?
Oh, that we could be on Pandora?
I don't think Pandora does podcasts.
I don't think they do podcasts.
They have comedy, for sure. They have comedy.
Well, something to look into. Okay. Very cool. Good point. Someone says, please wear appropriate pants. You can see our junk. You can't see my junk. There's no junk down here. I don't have any junk in mine. I don't have any junk in there.
They're unsullied.
Only high quality.
Well, we all know Sean is unsullied, and so I don't think you have to worry about him.
If anyone's dissatisfied, I can just take my pants off right now.
So let's see what else. What's the next announcement we have? Okay, so the Twitch streams now are for people who follow our Crusader Kings 2 game streams. I play the game Crusader Kings 2 with a mod for Game of Thrones / Song of Ice and Fire. It's extremely well done mod. We have posted 7 or 8 videos on our regular History of Westeros feed, but there's been enough requests for us to do them more often that we're moving to Twitch so we can do them more often without cluttering up our regular stream with game streams that not nearly everyone is interested in. Some of you guys like them a lot. Some of you, it's not for you. And I understand that. So we want to keep them separate. So they're going to be on Twitch. Twitch is free. Go to twitch.tv/History of Westeros to follow us. And hopefully you enjoy those streams over there. If you haven't, come check them out sometime. And we may or may not be posting the replays on a separate YouTube channel. Twitch will store them for 60 days. So they will be there. But if we want to keep them for good, we're going to want to save them on the YouTube channel. So we're still working out the finer points of that. But the bottom line is twitch.tv/History of Westeros. Follow us there. And we're going to be playing other games too. That's the other thing that we...
Quiplash on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do.
Other new Jackbox games. Anyways.
Yeah, so it's going to free us up to do more of that, having it separate, because it was a little restrictive having everything combined. So that's that. Let's see. What do we have next? We have... YouTube has changed some things with how you get notified. It used to just be if you were subscribed to a channel and they went live or posted a new video, you would get a notification. That doesn't happen anymore. You have to click the little bell icon under the video window. It's right above the comment section, right next to where you would click the like button, which please do that as well. Click the like button on this stream. And that helps you get notified of our live streams. So, and of course, whenever we post a new video, that goes up too. So that's important. So please click on that. Keep you up to date on what we're doing. As far as some future things, we want to tell you what's coming up for us in terms of our regular content.
Yeah, we've got an episode coming up called Why We Love ASOIF Art.
Probably won't be the only time we do one of these because ASOIF art is not something we can exactly cover in one episode, is it? Yeah. But for starters, we would love to show off not just art that's known in the fandom, but people who have made art, not just you know, fans and stuff. Not to call it fan art, but you know what I mean. That term isn't appropriate, but it gets the point across sometimes for some people. So we're going to be showcasing a lot of people. It'll allow us to show off more Michael Klarfeld, more of Sandrixian, more of some of the people who have done the Dragon Egg art for us, things like that. So that's all going to be fun. We're going to have that in the future. As far as scripted episodes, I originally planned on having Bloodraven 3 next, but we're going to do Nymeria 2 second instead, or next instead. I've been making more progress with it. It's just I've had more flow. The ideas have been coming more easily for it. But also, I'm a little suspicious that Fire and Blood is going to tell us something relevant. Not that Bloodraven could possibly be in the book, but any of you who have read the Fire and Blood excerpt know there was details about Silverwing and the Wall, and that might be really relevant. So if he's going to throw that in, you never know. Maybe he throws in a little something about someone being a green sea or something about the children, just something that might apply. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we're pretty sure there's not going to be anything Fire and Blood oriented about Nymeria. And even if there is, we'll still have a part 3 to catch up on and add that in. So this is just going to make more sense for us. So that's the plan for that. Now, in addition to our new Patreon goal, we have a new way we're going to handle Patreon votes. For people at the $12 level or higher on Patreon, you get a vote or multiple votes at the higher levels for certain special episodes. Those episodes have been once or twice a year, and a couple of things have come up in doing those. Quite a few times, the winning topic has taken more than one episode to cover, and that kind of throws off the program a little bit. Nothing wrong with having an episode that takes multiple instances to cover, or a topic that takes multiple instances to cover. However, when we plan for one episode and it turns into 3, that really throws things off a bit, and it's a little bit unfair for people who are paying to vote twice a year and not getting to. So what we're going to do until the Winds of Winter comes out, after we do Bloodraven 3, Nymeria 2, and 3, all future episodes until the Winds of Winter, not counting live streams, all future scripted episodes until the Winds of Winter comes out will be Patreon voters episodes. So all episodes will be voted on from that point on. So if you have a $12 or higher level Patreon pledge, you'll get to vote more often. And if you don't, well, maybe this is incentive for you if you want to get involved in the voting process. This is how Crypts of Winterfell was chosen. This is how Septon Barth was chosen. This is how Summerhall was chosen. All those episodes were picked by y'all, Patreon voters. So some of our best, in fact. So it's really been a great program for everyone because we get to make great episodes and you guys get what you want. So that's a win-win situation. So that's that. I think we're pretty much through the announcements now. We have a couple more that we're saving for later in the episode, but that is the bulk of it. So let's get started with our con coverage, and then we'll work our way up to Fire and Blood and Dark Sister, which we'll be closing things out with. Mm-hmm. So I've been talking for a while. Yeah. So how about you guys jump in, start us off with the Dragon Con experience? It was so much fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right. I love Dragon Con, by the way. Just in general, anyone who might not be familiar with Dragon Con, it's exploded in the past, I don't know, since 2000.
Hard to say exactly.
Yeah, but
we've lived in Atlanta so long; it's always been a thing here.
I seem to remember going, and it was maybe a 10,000 person con, which is pretty big compared to some other cons. And now it's like 80 or 100,000.
It was 80,000 2 years in a row. Yeah.
And part of what makes it so big and so fun is because it's pretty inclusive of just anything. It's just they really cater to what people want to do, and they just do everything. There's superhero stuff, zombie marches, predators, it's Star Trek, like every fandom, anything you could think of. They have all kinds of music events, screenings of movies, Rocky Horror Picture Show. They have scores of dances, just impromptu music events come up. People just walk around with boom boxes and set it down in a circle forms. It's just like, it spans multiple 5 or something hotels. You could just
6 now.
You could just you could just like go down to Atlanta at midnight on Sunday and not even go into the con, not have a badge or anything, and it'd just be a party in the streets. It's like Mardi Gras. It's like
Nerdy Gras is what
fantasy.
people
It's like
call
Nerdy
it.
Gras,
Nerdy Gras.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just an unbelievable event. It's the coolest thing that happens on Earth. I swear to God.
So yeah, they even have like a big room full of just old school and new school video games that most of which are free
Yeah.
to play. For example, just one thing, just one example, and they're just a giant room of
They have like
free games.
BattleTech machines. They have a gaming room with like board games and Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever other kinds of tabletop gaming, electronic games. It's such a huge event, and plus they have panels. They have stars. They have all kinds of. I mean, I can't go on enough about what an event it is and how fun I always have without any particular schedule. The cons I've gone to have been like the Game of Thrones cons, and it's almost like going to college. I don't mean that to be negative. It's Game of Thrones college. It's like 9 to 5. You like go to class. You know what I mean? And the classes are on the Swords of Westeros, or the sisters, or just all the topics you can imagine, the types of things we do podcasts on. And they have all that at Dragon Con too, but they literally have 100 times as much stuff. Literally 100 times as much
so
stuff
amazing.
as, for example, Ice and Fire Con. And I don't mean to downplay Ice and Fire Con, because the smaller cons become more intimate. You can almost literally know everyone there at a smaller con like that.
That's a wonderful advantage.
But,
I agree. Speaking of Ice and Fire Con, there were a lot of our Ice and Fire Con friends there. It's
Yeah,
one of the-
they
that-
do a
one
lot
the-
of panels. They
yeah.
threw the North remembers how to party.
Wonderful name for a party.
And we helped out with that a little bit. Sean and Aziz went to the Looney Theories panel. It's like a late night thing, and here's an image that Sean took. You can see our very own Jinx right there, taking a picture of them. And there's Chloe, Girls Gone Canon, and all that, and Tara of Ice and Fire Con, the
That's right.
geekiary.
The panel started with them trolling Chloe right away with some of her favorite Dane theories, so everybody had a good time except Chloe. No,
Right
just
in
kidding.
front of me, by the way, in the audience, you couldn't see in that picture, but if I had turned the camera to the right, someone was wearing a Manimal shirt.
Oh, cool.
Well, it's probably like Jason or something. I don't know.
Shout out to the Manimals and Haley Bowery there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the Looney Theories panel was really fun. There were a lot of, as you might think, Looney Theories. It's a good time. It's fun. They've put a lot of effort into trying to get Dragon Con to have a larger Game of Thrones presence. It doesn't, as big as it is, it doesn't have a huge Game of Thrones presence. So
Yeah, the photo shoot hour, which if you go to Dragon Con, I highly recommend you go to the different photo shoot hours, even if you're not a cosplayer. That's where you can get pictures of all the Game of Thrones cosplayers. They're all going to be there, and you can actually get photos, because Dragon Con is so busy and crowded. You can be walking through a hotel and see a great cosplay, but there's no way you're going to get a picture of it, at least not a decent one.
there's places you can't take pictures. They have certain areas where
Yeah.
you just have to keep moving because of the traffic is so high. So you're like,
I
I
have
wanted
a
to take a
picture on
picture of
there.
that, but you can't. You just have to have a little camera that you can click just sticking out of your chest, just constantly. A little GoPro, just
That's
wherever you go,
hilarious, yeah.
tracking
Plant it
everything.
into your eyeball. That's what
Yeah,
you need.
yeah,
Black
you need a
Mirror
Google
stuff
Glass
right
to
Get
here.
there.
But yeah, so Dragon Con obviously is fun because we get to see a lot of friends. We have friends in the area that go. We have friends that travel from all over, friends from conventions, listeners, people that we know from, just our lives, I guess, that come into town. We have people stay with us. But Dragon Con this year for me was particularly fun because, as you can see by my awesome cosplay here, I cosplayed, and it's so much more fun when you're actually participating, And so I would walk around and people would yell Beltalowda at me because this is from The Expanse, yada yada. But I also
fans are fantastic.
Yeah. And I also got to do a photo op. They had the whole cast, not the whole cast, but most of the cast, the main cast there. And so I did this photo op that you can see there. It's my first time doing a photo op with a celebrity or anything like that. It was extremely fast. But
You look like the celebrity there.
Yeah, you're the two dressed up there. They're posing with you and Brian. That's Brian, our friend Brian Hoskins there.
That's Brian. People know him from anything. They might probably know Jasmine more likely because his wife Jasmine is tweets during Game of Thrones during a George R. R. Martin interviews Snazosaurus.
That's right.
And she also has a D&D podcast. So shout out to Jasmine.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian, this is a picture of you. Instead, we started talking about your wife. So,
So that was cool. Anybody who loves The Expanse, you could see that was Alex and Avasarala and Bobby and Naomi. So really cool characters if you like The Expanse. I know we've talked about The Expanse a lot on this show.
So I already said if you're not here live, you're dead to me. Well, if you're not here live and you watch The Expanse, you're okay. If you're not here live and you don't watch The Expanse, you're like mega dead to me.
Yeah, mega death.
You're like
Holy
World
Wars.
a zombie.
She's gonna stash you in Hangar 18. But if you like The Expanse and aren't on a live stream, you see you're raising them from the dead. Is that they're kind of undead?
Yeah.
Because you already killed them, so you get to bring them back.
I'm gonna use the proto molecule.
Well played. Okay.
But Aziz has some even more exciting news. DragonCon was, a month ago now, just about.
It's part of the reason we need to do this more often. DragonCon was a month ago. Worldcon was 2 months ago, and we're going to be talking about that
But
later.
in under 2 weeks, Aziz is going to Los Angeles.
That's right. Just last night, Ashaya and I were both looking at my phone together, looking at something funny, and all of a sudden we got a notification, and I just shouted, and she was like, I scared her because
Truly.
I saw the word congratulations and Patricon, and I had entered a Patreon contest to get a free invite to their yearly convention in Los Angeles, and I entered it Thursday night and won on Friday. So it's very sudden, and the con's in less than 2 weeks. So I'll be flying to LA, and we'll be hanging out there. I'll see Kyle Foster and some other folks, and that'll be really fun. So I'm just now planning that. I haven't even gotten.
So if you happen to be in the LA area or going to Patricon by some random chance, let us know.
Well, let's hang out. Yeah, it'll be really fun. We'll have a drink.
But that's not all that we have. All the conventions we have coming up.
Still not done with the convention news.
Here we've got Ice and Fire Con next year, and that's at the end of April, just outside Columbus, Ohio. It's so beautiful. I mean, I say it all the time, but it really is summer camp for A Song of Ice and Fire fans. You called Con of Thrones like a college for it, and I feel like Ice and Fire Con is less like that. It's more of the camp experience.
I agree.
That's
Summer camp
a good
is
analogy.
Perfect way to call it.
I will clarify that at college / Con of Thrones, and maybe also at summer camp. I don't know, but you party at night. I mean, that's the thing. In the day you go to class about Targaryens, and at night you get drunk around the fire.
Honestly, Ice and Fire Con is more of a party con to me than Con of Thrones. I would say as well. So just in terms of our experiences, if you're looking to party and camp out and have a campy experience, Ice and Fire Con. If you're looking to sit in panels and learn a lot of things all day, Con of Thrones is probably better for you, but.
Absolutely.
They're both great.
Yeah, definitely go to both if you can. But sometimes, for a lot of people, we know it's going to come down to where you live, the time,
and if you buy your tickets to Ice and Fire Con, use History of Westeros as your referral.
Yeah, the code is history, and that'll get you $5 off.
Do we have a code for Ice and Fire Con? I thought it was Con of Thrones.
It was the same code for both.
Oh, I didn't think we had a code for Ice and Fire Con.
No, we didn't have one for Con of Thrones yet. It's not necessarily.
Well, I thought Ice and Fire Con wasn't a code at all; that it was just referral, but.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
clear. Whatever. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to Aziz, at least. Listen to me.
Yeah, listen to her. She's the best. Why would you listen to a guy who isn't the best? So that's just straightforward. Okay, so what else we have? Yeah, so those two cons are great. We have, and we can't talk about specifics, but we heard some cool rumors that might be some cool extra guests at Con of Thrones this year, but we
will see.
We are sworn to secrecy. We'll see what happens. None of it's solid yet.
So that's the end of April for Ice and Fire Con. Then Con of Thrones is in July.
Yes.
And then we're planning, I think we're going for sure, Aziz and I at least, will be at Worldcon in Dublin.
Worldcon in Dublin.
And George R. Martin will be there. We went to our first Worldcon in San Jose last year. We were inducted into the BWB, well, the free company, technically. But we'll talk more about that at the end of the episode. But in general, if you're a listener that lives in Dublin or is otherwise planning to go, let us know.
I'm not quite cosmopolitan enough.
You can't even say the word cosmopolitan.
You're not a cosmetologist
Worldcon stuff, so they'll be talking about that once I've gone.
Thanks to Matthias C. for the super chat. He says, more puns. Sorry. We'll keep them coming. I think that's a request for more puns, and he's apologizing to everybody else. But I'm not sure. But that's how I choose to interpret that.
So, we've gotten through our content now for the main content. But we are still going to talk about Worldcon at the end of the episode, and we're still going to have some other announcements for you.
That's true.
We have some things that we're guesting on, for example.
That's true.
Very shortly.
Very true. In fact, let's at least mention one of those. Tonight, thanks to Secrets of the Citadel, I'll be guesting on her live stream in about 5 hours. Is that right? About 5 hours.
I have to say, okay, so this is meant to be like a spooky, scary themed, like Halloween themed episode. And Gemma, Secrets of the Citadel, she asked me to be on it. And I thought about it for a little bit about what I would talk about and decided that the scary stuff freaked me out too much. I might have nightmares after thinking about it. Well, what happened the other night, I had a nightmare about Gregor Clegane.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Coming into my bedroom, and I was trying to close the door, and he just grabs my head. It's terrible, terrible. So basically, no spooky, scary stuff for me. Halloween's the worst month for me. But Aziz will have fun talking about creepy things.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I don't have bad dreams ever. I'm one of those lucky people. So that's cool. Check us out on that. Check out Gemma, and there'll also be Con Snow and Sanrixian, I believe. Gemma, who else is there? I forgot to put that in front of me, and now I forget if that's. Is LML going to be there too? I don't remember. So
we'll see.
You'll clear that up in the chat box for us, and we'll get that straight for the second announcement. Okay, so
all right, now on to this excerpt that we had Sean read. As you might guess that he's here, Sean read the excerpt. Oh my god!
Right? How cool is that? Sean actually reading some A Song of Ice and Fire history. We're getting some takes from him here.
I was gonna finish all the rest of the books, but instead I read this little excerpt.
So yes, LML is in the stream tonight. I wasn't remembering wrong. So yes, and
and Kyle apparently.
And Kyle too. Excellent. That's gonna be
fun. So Azor hype is Kyle.
Azor will have a lot of. That'll be a pretty bumping live stream there.
Yeah, and some people will be dressed up, as far as I understand it.
Yeah. I'll have to put on one of my Game of Thrones hats. I don't have a whole lot.
Wear my coveralls.
I can wear my Dothraki jacket.
Yeah, you can wear that.
So
you carry your shield.
Yeah, I have a Better Call Saul or Better Call Drogo, whichever. Pick your pun. They're both puns.
And so, anyways, with Sean reading the excerpt, I wanted him to read the excerpt, and I wanted to know what his thoughts were on parallels, because Sean is not part of social media still that often. He has Twitter, but it's not like he's checking it all the time. He's not up to date on Twitteros, so to speak.
His takes are interesting because his approach is different. His he has got a different mindset of some things. So we like sometimes that it presents us with some interesting takes that we might have noticed, and sometimes it presents us with some humor. So both good things come out of it.
So, Sean, we asked you who you thought were parallels to the main characters, and so you could go ahead and tell us what you thought.
All right, let me see if I can remember names.
I wrote it right there.
Remember everything right?
Right here.
Yeah. Okay, so my first thought was that Alaric, aside from a parallel necessarily, even as man, this guy is on thin ice with Allison. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know exactly the relationship or expectations they would have for each other, but I felt like he was a little cold toward her. I mean, but
a Stark cold?
Yeah,
that's impossible.
I don't know about that.
But I thought that it was similar to Stannis. I felt that somewhere between maybe a cynicism that he has and a confidence in his position combined, he just kind of spoke his mind a little bit and wasn't as worried about pomp and circumstance or whatever, And for Alysanne, I thought that she reminded me of Tyrion for a couple reasons. One, she was following Tyrion's path, heading up to Winterfell and then to the Wall. Mm-hmm. And along the way, kind of like Tyrion, despite being met with coldness sometimes, was still kept a sense of humor about him, kept things light, was able to kind of say what he believed or maybe even get what he wanted without ruffling feathers too much, he came upon someone whose feathers were already ruffled and smoothed them out, and I feel like Tyrion did a lot of that. So
yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting thought because when we read it and in the fandom in general on Twitteros, all the focus is on Alysanne, as she's been referred to, which is Alysanne as compared to Sansa.
Right.
And so I think there are similarities to Tyrion, and that's something that we talk about a lot in general when we think about these parallel lives things that Aziz has been tweeting about. We might list off a bunch of parallels between a certain historical character and a current character. That doesn't mean that that historical character doesn't also have parallels to other characters. It's not exclusive.
No, there can only be two parallels.
There can be only one. The high Stannis.
By the way, I love those tweets that you make.
Oh, cool!
I think that's the awesomest thing.
We're gonna do
both
an
that you
episode on
both that it exists in the world and that you're able to identify.
Yeah, we want to do an
it,
episode on it, but we also want to do a panel on it at Con of Thrones.
That's
possibly,
right. So just for you all who don't follow us on Twitter, what I've been
what's
doing
wrong with you?
is yeah, what's wrong with you?
You're dead to me too. Everyone's
Some
dead
of you
to
are
me.
double dead. Right on. If you upset her again, you might be triple dead, which you can't really come back from. So yeah, these parallel lives tweets are basically comparisons, usually between a historical figure and a current character. This is a perfect example: Alaric and Stannis. So that's, or Sansa and Alysanne. And George, the value of these, not just the fact that it's fun, but it shows us that George is giving us foreshadowing for things to come with future characters. And that's part of what makes this Fire and Blood excerpt extra exciting. I think, in general, the fandom is sometimes lukewarm on the historical stuff. Some people love it. Some people could kind of do without it. Some people are kind of in between. But the hype for Fire and Blood is starting to exceed the world of Ice and Fire, at least in certain corners, at least of people who have taken a close look, especially among people who have read this excerpt. And here's why. Some people consider the history a little bit dry, and I can get that. I don't personally consider it dry. Ashaya doesn't consider it dry. But
it's pretty dry. It's a book, Aziz.
It's not a wet
wet
book. And if you're reading on an ebook, you really can't get it wet. So. But of course, because there's not a narrative, there's not the characters, we don't get inside their heads. There's not as much depth to it. It's not a story. It's a telling of events. This excerpt is more like a story. It's got dialogue. It's got characterizations that it feels more like a story. It feels more like a narrative. It's still history. It's not a narrative, but it's closer to being a narrative than the World of Ice and Fire stuff. So I think George heard this. I think George heard that people were a little, it's still, the book was highly successful. World of Ice and Fire was a smash hit. We love it. But if there's something to pick at it, this would be a minor complaint. And so I think George heard those complaints because apparently we have it on good authority that this excerpt was written within the last year. So George maybe tweaked some of these things. He added some of this characterization. He wanted to make it a little more relevant, a little more warm, which is important because of all this northern stuff. You got to keep that warmth.
I can also imagine it just in general. He had like a series of events in his history in his mind that he wanted to get out. But over time, these characters have taken on a life that he's been able to add to. So
that's very true. That's very true. And Alysanne's always been a favorite in the fandom because she's this amazing, smart woman who did a lot of great things.
Good Queen Alysanne? It's
Queen
more like
Alysanne.
Great Queen Alysanne.
Seriously.
Fantastic Queen Alysanne. Incredible Queen Alysanne.
Awesome.
Amazing Queen Alysanne.
Awesome
probably.
San. Yeah.
Yeah, you call her Akka.
Akka-san.
Yeah, no. Anyways.
But the caveat to that is, despite people thinking so highly of her, we don't really know that much about her. Despite Jaehaerys' reign being by far the longest reign of any Targaryen king, it's kind of a mystery. We know a lot of the high points. We know some kind of important things that happened, but there's a lot of missing detail. There's a lot of between the lines stuff.
Question here from Alexandra Sandu.
Okay.
She said, I'm a beginner, so I'm sure I'm missing something. But what are the similarities between Sansa and Good Queen?
Good question. I think we were going to get to that. We may as well do it now. We'll also talk about some of the things you talked about with Tyrion, because I think those were...
And the thing I want to talk about here is, who's Jaehaerys then?
Yes. Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, so
I
let's
have
do
my
that.
own thoughts on that, but let's talk about Sansa, about Alysanne.
Let's do that. Of course, feel free to send your questions, folks. This is the portion of the episode where it's best time. We'll take questions anytime, but this is the best time for it. We're specifically setting this time for that. And we'll want to do our bath bomb thing pretty soon.
Yeah.
But not quite yet. We'll get through a little farther in this. Okay, so yeah, Alysanne and Sansa. Well, first of all, Sansa's arc is notable in how well she keeps her composure. She is always, no matter how bad things get, she never starts like cursing people out. She may start crying or get upset, but she keeps her demeanor remarkably well through a number of really awful experiences, being abused by Pycelle, being abused by Joffrey, just lots of various forms of abuse at the hands of men and women because of Cersei and other characters. But there's and so Alysanne, what you can see here is the potential for Sansa to develop into a character like Alysanne is now. Someone who doesn't wilt in the face of Stannis's or Alaric's rudeness and coldness. Someone who just returns that coldness with warmth and is like, no, I'm not going to sing to you. I'm going to define the terms of this conversation. I'm going to define our interactions, and they're going to be friendly. She just refuses to go down. She always keeps it up. She always
That's
keeps.
pretty dirty, Aziz.
She refuses to go. She refuses to go down. I'm defending her honor. And
nothing dishonorable about that.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Stop shaming everyone, all of our listeners, okay?
Okay. How did we get here? The cold winds blow from the north.
Whoa! Okay, move on.
Okay, what have we done? So basically, you see a lot of that in this whole kind of listening to everyone, being a good queen, taking everyone's concerns. There's that bit where she goes to White Harbor and has this ladies' council where she listens to the concerns of women, not just rich women, but common born, so women of all levels. So she's really showing her ruling chops, and it's the kind of stuff that people in modern times can appreciate. Stuff that it seems it's like way ahead of its time. And you can see that kings and queens after her did not follow her lead. We don't see queens wielding as much power in Westeros not long after Alicent. Mostly it's the Dance of the Dragons that kind of tanked all that. Which is another topic entirely. But it's yet another interesting thing about this excerpt, is you see a queen with so much power.
I do remember when we were reading, I was like, that's genius. It's freaking genius. I can't believe that that's not like just a standard institutionalized thing for all of history. Why hasn't this been happening?
Yeah, it's really, it shows you some things. It's like, yeah, this should be like, look how good she is. Give other women a chance. And, but it's all these power games, and that's the Game of Thrones for you. You know, if you can exclude a whole power group from being eligible to win the throne, it makes it easier for your group, which in this case is men. So, anyway.
The worst.
Yeah, the worst.
So we have some artwork here as well. I'll do the first slide now,
Yeah.
I think. Which I just love our fandom so much. I'm so glad to see that there's already artwork from this excerpt. So here we have on the left, Alicent and Alaric. This is by Naomi Makes Art. You can find her on Twitter, Tumblr, etc. She makes a lot of great A Song of Ice and Fire art and other art, but like Star Wars, you know, A Song of Ice and Fire mashup pieces and stuff like that. So I like that a lot. And then we have in the middle and on the right, we have work by Sanrixian. In the middle, we have Alicent with Silverwing. And then on the right, we have John Keel Dark, the Scarlet Shadow, aka someone I have to cosplay now.
Yes. So this, in case y'all missed it, or if you haven't read the excerpt and are relying on us to kind of explain this all for you, which is totally fine. If
you were relying on us to explain it for you, you're out of luck, because we have not gone in this in a very organized way.
We're kind of just jumping around here. But it is a short excerpt. So the John Keel Dark is a very unusual character. She's a wildling and a sworn shield to the queen.
Wait, what are you talking about? You're talking. What are you talking?
Oh, you're talking about John. I'm talking about the Scarlet Shadow.
John Keel Dark.
My bad.
John,
I got my
John
characters
Keel
mixed
Dark
up.
is the Scarlet Shadow. The wildling spearwife is a different person.
Oh.
Is my understanding of that.
Did I get that mixed up?
Which is why John Keel Dark is got the red and all the red like that. Actually, Sanrixian modeled that off of my Danelle Austin armor a little bit.
Yeah, that looks really good.
But I'll go ahead and play. We've got another piece of art from Sanrixian as well that maybe will communicate this better to Aziz.
Yes.
John Keel Dark.
I got that mixed up in my head. Don't listen to me.
And the Wildling. We don't have a name for the Wildling Spearwife.
That's why. No wonder I couldn't think of her name, because she doesn't have one. All right then.
Yeah,
well.
there's no name for that Wildling. Anyways.
So that's really cool. The idea that there's a Wildling sworn sword is just a cool idea. Kind of reminds us a little bit of, say, Osha. You know, Osha maybe isn't quite as fantastic of a warrior, but, you know, there's not exactly a lot of wildling women who aren't with the wildlings, right? They're all mostly with other wildlings. So that's pretty cool. Yes, John Keel was a noblewoman of House Dark. That's right. Of course, I should have known that as soon as I said it, because Dark, we all know Dark is a cadet branch of the Darklands. And, well, we don't all know that. But now you all know that. I knew the hard one and not the easy
somehow
one.
I'm going to guess Sean didn't know that.
No, I did not know that.
2/3 of us know that. So, yes. So, yes, we've got some other cool art here.
I showed the art.
You got the good ones. Okay, we got the good ones. We got more later.
Yeah, fuck all the bad ones. I'm going to show those now.
We're going to show the bad ones.
But no, so anyways, we were talking about Sansa, but see, my question here is, if we're going to make comparisons between Alaric and Alysanne, is there a comparison of Jaehaerys to someone?
Yeah.
And a couple of things. One, we don't see a ton of Jaehaerys here, but we see some, which is that we see that he is politicking in the south, and he is interacting with people in Essos, basically.
Yes, he is trying to handle these free cities.
Yeah, so basically, if we're going to extend that, either who has already done that or who is likely to do that. And the two people I think of are Jon Snow and Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So which one of them will actually be doing that, I'm not sure, but it makes me think of a scenario where Jon is dealing with something else, or Tyrion is. Tyrion is a good match because he's actually technically married to Sansa.
Yeah, and Tyrion also, there's a lot Tyrion has in common with Jaehaerys' number 2 man. His number 1 man is not a man, it would be Alysanne, but his number 2 is Septon Barth. And Tyrion and Septon Barth have quite a few things in common as well. So,
well, I would also compare, if his number 2 man, Jaehaerys' number 2 man is Septon Barth, then Jaehaerys and Jon are a good comparison because you have Septon Barth and Sam Tarly.
That's also very true. That's a great call. So there's actually a little more than just the excerpt here. There was a little bit extra that we got a hold of because George published a photo of himself with one of the pages open, and there's a little bit we could read that's kind of would be effectively part of the rest of Fire and Blood that we haven't seen yet. And it's not very telling. It's not spoilery, really. It's just a little bit about Jaehaerys talking about how he wants to build roads. And we know that's a big, important thing that he does in his reign to help unite the 7 kingdoms. It's really easy to forget that before Jaehaerys, there was no King's Road. There was no Rose Road. There was no Gold Road. There were just pathetic, smaller versions of these. The Rocky Road. There was a Rocky Road because Westeros has had ice cream since the White Walkers first came on the scene.
A brief mention from Scott McCloy. He says that he just picked up some Bulldog beard oil and he's loving it. What beard oil do you use?
I don't actually use any beard oil.
Well, that's your problem.
People have recommended it to me, but maybe...
Anyways, I knew it would be a short answer because I knew you didn't use it. That was all. Just like
I don't either. Well, shout out to Davos Fingers there. Good to see you there, Scott.
I woke up like this.
So some other parallels there. Jaehaerys' reign is characterized by wanting to improve the realm, by wanting to create consensus, by wanting to bring things together. And that is a perfect example of what you're saying about how he's like Jon, because Jon was trying to bring cultures together that had never been together and that have a lot of issues with each other, the North and the South. In Jaehaerys' case. In Jon's case, we have the 7 kingdoms and the wildlings, right? That's an important one. He got in a lot of trouble got him killed, literally. He happened to come back from that. But that is the main reason that happened. And as far as Alysanne goes with them together, it's a little hard to see, like, if you think of Jaehaerys as Tyrion and Alysanne as Sansa, well, they were married for a little while.
Scott McCloy corrected you, something that I was curious about.
Whoa, did I get my wrong Scots there?
Apparently.
Well, geez. Still shout out to Davos Fingers. Wrong Scott. Jeez, I'm all over the place today.
Yeah, you
I got my darks mixed up, my wildlings mixed up. I better just sit here and drink more coffee while you guys talk.
But another thing that people wanted us to chat about for sure is the Silverwing stuff, which we touched on already a bit. And certainly there's a couple of things here. One is how possible it is to side fly, so to speak.
Side fly.
That you can't cross the wall, but really, it's not like it just goes out forever out into the ocean. You know, there has to be a certain point at which you can cross. I don't know that sort of trickery is going to be how George addresses it. It seems kind of a cop-out. Be like, well, we can't cross the wall with our dragons, but let's just fly out a few hundred yards to the ocean and then cross.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you wonder that, like, the details here. But just to be clear, in case anyone hasn't read the sample, Silverwing 3 times refuses to cross the wall, which is, as we have seen in the TV show, we see dragons pass the wall, and we don't need to get into what happens there, but just the idea that they can't cross the wall in the books or won't cross the wall is really interesting, and it touches on the old thing we're told about the wall from the beginning, is that magical creatures can't pass the wall. So we see Jon struggling to communicate with Ghost when they're on opposite sides of the wall, but on the other hand, we have Bloodraven sending visions across the wall. So it may be a matter of who's strong, or maybe Bloodraven is strong enough and Jon wasn't.
Or clever enough, or lucky enough.
Who knows? It's magic.
I had a couple thoughts on it. One is, and again, my perspective comes from the show first. So my thought when the dragon didn't cross the wall was that it was choosing not to. It was scared. It detected something dangerous or evil.
Not that the wall stopped it, but the dragon refused.
She's like, I'm not going over there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure how right I am, but that was just my perspective since on the show I see dragons go across. It didn't occur to me that it just wasn't able to, you know. But furthermore, another thought that I had, because I am aware enough of things that the wall is some sort of magical barrier, right?
Yeah.
I know it's accounted for, or attempted to account for when people are thinking about what's happening or what might happen. But this is a thought that I have. Let's just say that there's some law or rule or whatever that magic can't get across the wall, right? Well, also, I think it would be safe. It wouldn't be crazy for someone to say that wildlings can't get across the wall. Except sometimes wildlings do get across the wall, right? Sometimes they do. Generally speaking, they can't, but sometimes they do. Maybe, generally speaking, magic can't, but sometimes it does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We have a good question here from Alexandra Sandu. Why can't Dany become the new Alysanne? Well, she can. Absolutely she can, but there are a few things going against her. One is that she's aiming to conquer the Seven Kingdoms, to take it back by force, which is not very Alysanne-like. Alysanne is all about negotiations, alliance building, consensus building. Now, maybe Daenerys
I see more Jaehaerys in Daenerys. Like, in as much as I don't even think there are that many parallels, but off the top of my head, I can think of more between Jaehaerys, actually.
Yeah. Jaehaerys being at the top with a great cast of helpers who are maybe even more talented than he is.
Yeah.
So maybe
dealing with the free cities and you know, in general with Essos. And again, we've seen Daenerys, like, I do tend to think she's not long for this world in general, but realistically, if she were to become queen long term, I think she would be doing things like how he's building roads. I think that she would be trying to improve the lives of her people just based on her experiences in Slaver's Bay.
Yeah, I agree. And excuse me, we have another good question here from Preston Cox. How would ghosts pass through the wall if magic creatures cannot pass? Well, direwolves aren't magical creatures. The bond between a human and an animal doesn't make either of them magical creatures. Like, Jon isn't a magical creature. Well, after resurrection, maybe you could say he is. So that's not necessarily the best example. But, for example, Robb and Rickon, they're not magical creatures, but they apparently had a skin changer bond with, or have a skin changer bond with their direwolf. Direwolves are real animals. They're extinct on Earth, but they really did exist. And George kind of borrowed that concept for his real direwolf, or his direwolves in A Song of Ice and Fire. So they're not technically magical creatures. And Melisandre apparently isn't a magical creature either, because she can pass the wall as well. But she was born a human. She's become magical, whereas a dragon is just a magical creature. It's an engineered species, probably. Also,
let's just say that the direwolves or Melisandre, whatever, were magical. Again, it could be that I was speaking kind of generally about the idea that even though in general wildlings can't get across this wall, but sometimes they find a way, you know.
Yes.
But it may even, and this might be a whole Pandora's box to open, but there's been a lot of talk about the different types of magics, you know, in the world. You know, some maybe are religious, or some are green seers, or there's all different types of magic, and maybe some can pass the wall and not others, you know. Maybe it even has to do with the time of day, how close it is to winter, you know.
If it's at night, no.
Yeah, you can imagine that it would be really easy. George, I think, has kept it vague enough that he can play around with it. Does that make sense? But I bet that if he decided, he could like delineate rules that everything would fit into, you know. And
you were right to say that maybe it's not a barrier. Maybe the dragon just doesn't want to go, because we do see a description of Silverwing struggling in the cold. He doesn't like it. He's sitting there uncomfortable, so it's not necessarily the barrier. I definitely lean that way. But it's good that you mentioned that, because we might be wrong. It might be George just kind of throwing us a little curveball here to get us thinking about that. But it's also interesting to think that he wrote it this way in response to the TV show and what they showed us there. To show, hey, look, it's going to be different. You know, hey, look, be aware.
You know, maybe also the barrier used to be stronger. Maybe the same reason the others are coming forth is the same reason that the dragon couldn't pass before, but now it can. Maybe the magical barrier is degenerated, you know.
But think about this. Think of the timeline here. At this point, this is roughly 58 AC. We're almost 250 years prior to Game of Thrones. So that we don't think the others were awake yet. We're pretty sure they awoke in like the 290s, you know, because the scene with the that opening scene is maybe 297. It's basically the only scene that happens before 298.
Why would they bother waking up if they can't even cross the wall? Now the barrier's down, they can cross the wall. All right, boys, let's go.
Who knows the ways of magical beings? The others are definitely magical beings.
Martin knows.
So let's take a short break and
We're about to have our mid-roll. We're about to lose Sean, right?
We don't have to finish our Fire and Blood excerpt discussion just yet, but we should do the bath. We should do the bath bomb thing.
Okay, so we're not doing our mid-roll yet.
Not yet, not quite.
That's what I was curious. We're about an hour in.
We can count the results during the mid-roll that way.
Okay.
So we have so let's do that now, folks. It's 2:32 on our time here, Eastern Standard. Send your emails if you want to win the
bath bomb.
Fire and Suds bath bomb. 3 Fire and Suds bath bomb eggs look like dragon eggs.
Say where you live or something if you can.
Please include.
I don't know. Do something.
Please include what country you live in and your name, and send the email to westeroshistorygiveaway@gmail.com. Any email that arrives between 2:32 and 2:37 will count, and we will announce the winner a little bit later.
Okay. So far, we've got one, so we'll
people
let
are sending them in. Yeah, keep them coming, folks.
We can continue now with talking, and we'll monitor that. What time did you say? Till 2:37?
Yes. So only a few minutes here, folks. Get your entries in.
That was westeroshistorygiveaway@gmail.com. If you didn't hear that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so a little more about Fire and Blood. I liked the conversation between Alaric and Alysanne for several reasons. One, because it was a conversation. We got to see more characterization, which I mentioned already. But also, George is sneaky. He had Alaric say the word fewer. He said fewer would be, she's like, how long are you going to stay? And she's like, oh, I'll not stay too long.
I didn't actually notice that.
And he says, fewer would be better.
That's hilarious.
So George is just always throwing that stuff in there. That's why you can never really, truly overanalyze The Song of Ice and Fire. There's always something that we all missed. And that was just fun. That made me laugh out loud. I didn't catch it the first time either. It was on... The excerpt is short enough that I was able to read it 4 or 5 times, even though I got this John Kill Dark thing wrong. I'm not exhibiting my knowledge very well today. But we also caught a few other fun things, like the reference to the Manderleys there was really neat. It's cool to see the Manderleys. And it was an interesting note that White Harbor had never seen a dragon before. Mm-hmm. Aegon had gone north during his reign, but had never gone to White Harbor, apparently, which is really curious to me. We guessed in our Manderley episodes that he would have gone there because it's one of the only 5 cities in the entire country. And you would think he'd go there. But apparently he didn't. The small folk there had not seen a dragon. So,
do we know about how old White Harbor was at that time?
Yeah. Roughly, White Harbor was maybe 700 years old.
Okay.
But of course, there hadn't been... Westeros had only been united 50-some years before, so it was part of an independent North, and so that's all really interesting. I wonder what George has in mind there, and I also wonder what he's showing us with the Sansa Stannis stuff here, the parallels, because we might not get that. Again, the email address is westeroshistorygiveaway@gmail.com. For those, you have another couple minutes, and because. You wonder, is this going to happen in the books? We see Stannis die earlier in the show than we expect him to die in the books. So we also suspect Sansa will go north, kind of like she does in the show. Kind of like, just the differences of what happens when she goes there, probably significant. But just the general idea of her going back to Winterfell at some point. And if Stannis is still there when this happens, we might get something like this. Like a Stannis-Sansa conversation. And it might look a bit like what we're seeing with Alysanne and Alaric. So it could be foreshadowing, but it also could just be, hey, look, you're never going to see Sansa and Stannis together. This is what it might be like, because it's fun. So what do you guys think about that? I want to see some opinions from y'all, but also from the chatters and which way you interpreted that, or maybe an entirely different way.
Let's say that did happen. Does this work? Is there a parallel between Jon and Jaehaerys?
Oh yeah, there could be,
right?
Because he's just the same. He's the uniter. He's trying to bring the kingdoms together. He's trying to be a king that listens to everybody.
And he's the one that potentially Stannis would recognize as the real. He wouldn't acknowledge Sansa, right?
Probably
but she would still be there with some amount of authority, and she would maneuver through a conversation with him, trying to convince him. But really, he's just waiting for Jon to show up.
Yeah,
know?
maybe. Well, there's one thing to keep in mind in that is if assuming Sansa shows up roughly the way we expect her to, she may have the entire Veiled Knight army with her. Stannis would have to take her a lot more seriously if she had, the rough equivalent of what we saw in the TV show of several thousand Veiled Knights.
Well, you might argue that Alaric should have taken Alysanne more seriously than he did, even though,
Well, that's true, but he was just, I don't think he was rude to her, but he wasn't like hostile. He wasn't violent. He wasn't like threatening. You know what I mean? Not that I expect Stannis to be either.
No, but he still was. I feel like part of the reason for his attitude because he's waiting for what was that? It's Always Sunny. We're like, oh, here's a man. Here's someone in charge.
Oh, yeah. You're expecting Stannis to be really sexist. It's like this is a strange
the
band.
gang escapes.
Yeah.
Your boss
The
is a
escape
man.
room map,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the escape room map also. Yeah.
Yes. Do this.
Both of them, they do it really well. Is it time?
It's 2:37. We should give people another minute because we said 2:37. Now it's 2:38.
Okay, so
Sam Rickson says Starks are kind of rude in general. They're kind of cold in general, which maybe is rude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many like super happy party Starks yet. Maybe
or super polite, sweet Starks either.
Yeah, Ned is friendly, but he's not like.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen much of Brandon Stark in person. I imagine him to be more charismatic, but still kind of like moody.
Yeah.
Is what I picture from him. Not like necessarily kind, but I imagine he's not so cold.
Starks are all emo. Sam Rickson, can you do emo versions of all the Starks?
Oh, you know she can.
Yeah, I'm sure she could. I'm surprised she maybe.
John with black eyeliner.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Okay, so we've got, let's see our submissions here.
Someone earlier in the chat said Kit Harington's hair is magical, so he can't pass the wall.
Someone said Steven Stark is pretty polite.
Steven Stark is very polite.
Chipper.
That's true.
For a Stark. What about Skippy Stark?
So Shea is counting the entries here. We're going to determine a winner shortly, so we'll let her do that while we...
random number generator here on Google.
Okay. Here we go.
Let's see
what And the winner is drum roll.
We'll find out. I'll count this way.
The war drums.
This is who it says.
Terrell Reed. Terrell Reed, you are the
11.
winner of the bath bombs. Terrell, I've had conversations with Terrell in email before, so that is a recognizable.
I'm just gonna reply so that I have it there for myself.
Congrats to Terrell. You are the winner of some bath bombs. You should send us your address. Ashaya is sending you an email. Please respond with your address, and we'll ship that out to you this week. Very cool. So that's how this works. That's how our giveaways are going to work in the future. It's pretty simple. You send emails during the time frame. Yeah, we'll be giving away the signed book before the end, and that's going to be fun. So how are we doing on time in general here?
We're at the hour mark. We're halfway through.
So we're about halfway through.
A little past now.
We'll talk a little more about Fire and Blood, then we'll take our mid-roll break. Sean will have to leave. We'll come back and talk some more about about Worldcon and about Dark Sister and a few other things. So, what did we not talk about on the excerpt yet? Was there any other thoughts that you had? Or should I dredge up a few other ideas that I had? What about you, Shay? Anything from you as well?
No, I'm totally, my mind is on the giveaway, which I just had to deal with. I wasn't listening to you one bit while I counted and all of that, so no.
Tough but fair. Cool. Yeah, do what you got to do. So
I don't have a thought off the top of my head, but you might spark something.
Okay, so a few other ideas was Alysanne going to the wall, right? This is something we'd heard had happened already. This is something we knew about way in advance. This is something that's been mentioned since back in Game of Thrones. It's something that George had planned early on. We don't know exactly what he had planned, but he created the characters of Jaehaerys and Alysanne really early in the whole process. And the idea that one of the Night's Watch castles was abandoned and a new one was built that was more suited to their current status. Because, of course, as we know, the Night's Watch has been around for thousands of years, and it's changed over time. By the time Game of Thrones starts, the Night's Watch has really fallen on hard times. There's only a few hundred people left that go there. Now, at the time here, there's quite a few more. We see about, I think it's 800 are mentioned to show up just to present themselves for Alysanne. The Night's Watch doesn't even have 800 at all in quote-unquote modern times. And there were even more than that back when Aegon had led the conquest, which was only about 58 years prior to this excerpt. this is a bit of an aside, but it's long been theorized, and his theory I fully agree with, is that as good as the conquest was for peace throughout Westeros, in a lot of ways, it kind of wrecked the Wall. It kind of wrecked the Night's Watch, because a lot of the Night's Watch's manpower source was losers in wars. And the King's Peace kept those wars from happening. Those wars weren't happening anymore. You weren't allowed to go fight each other. Back in the days of the Seven Kingdoms, people were kind of allowed to fight each other, but under one rule, no more. So you can see this gradual decline play out when you see 250 years before, where they had 800, 1,000, 1,500 men. At the time of Aegon's conquest, they had 20 to 30,000.
Whoa,
it declined rapidly. So it kind of gives you an idea of that manpower source was cut off really fast. And the reason we know he had that many is because the Lord Commander of the Wall during Aegon's conquest was the brother to the King King Harwin Hor. And he was used as an example of a Lord Commander who did it right. He didn't go fight for his brother. He didn't bring his sword south like a Lord Commander isn't supposed to do. Jon Snow. But never mind. So that's an interesting sort of historical timeline that we get a little more information on, the whole decline of the Night's Watch. And this is Alysanne's building of Queen's Crown is the name of the castle that she built for the Night's Watch in their smaller status. And that's all, that's just something that I think is really cool that we'll probably learn even more about once we get the full excerpt. The building of the King's Road and the Rose Road is really huge too, because without the unity between the kingdoms, without trade and back and forth, they don't get to know each other as well, right? The North is really isolated. Why would you send trade caravans through the neck, the swamplands, where there's bogs and rumors of worse things, and it's cold, and they don't have a lot of money up there. People would just trade within the South, and because of that, there's less back and forth between the North and the South, which means they don't get to know each other as well, which means they're not as friendly. So there's just a lot of incentive for the kingdom to be united to prevent infighting later. It's kind of like what we see with. It's why Ned was sent to live with Robert when they were teenagers, so that they'd be friends when they were adult lords, and so they would be less likely to fight each other. It's a similar concept.
In the military, you get moved around approximately every 2 years, and the idea is that good habits get spread to different units. Something one unit is doing, when you go to your new unit 2 years later, you bring that with you, and bad habits get broken up. Groups of people who might not be doing things.
It's
signing
like in that
off
episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, when they did the Time's Up episode, Sean, where they split the group up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just.
We love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, in case you guys
The new season
couldn't
is on
tell.
right now,
Yes.
so it's extra on our brains.
And of course, there are connections between Sunny and Game of Thrones, little bits. So that helps justify. Yeah, no, we don't need to justify this. We do what we want. Yeah. Both David and Dan appeared in the the water park episode from 2 seasons ago? Last season? Yeah, last season. Anyway.
Didn't they direct an episode too, right?
They directed the Flowers for Charlie.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways. Bob McElhaney has also moderated Game of Thrones panels.
Yes,
Yeah,
he loves
So,
it.
whatever. Okay, that was a digression. And now I know better not to crack a stupid joke. Aziz will take it super seriously.
I'm the Alaric here. There are no jokes.
Yeah.
Only serious. Fewer references to, not less, fewer.
It's Always Sunny is not a joke.
It's I think the North would be insulted by that phrase. It's always sunny. Are you kidding me? They live in that cold North. That's just a not friendly thing to say to them. Okay, so what else do we have? We have some of the other important parts in the excerpt. The idea that one thing interesting that we see that some of the Twitteros crew, I believe it may have been Joe Magician that pointed this out first. At least the first that I saw was Jaehaerys is the conciliator. He's the guy that gets credit for doing so much. And I think he deserves a lot of that credit. But it's clear that his inner circle gets a lot of that credit. If not, maybe even more than him. And that inner circle includes Alysanne, who we see a lot of in the excerpt, and Barth, who we'll presumably see quite a lot more in the full excerpt. But it's interesting to see Jaehaerys, the conciliator, the guy who's supposed to be really good at negotiations and bringing people together, failing to unite these free cities in their negotiations, while Alysanne is just doing a great job in the north of working it with Alaric and working it with the Night's Watch and getting them to respect her and being likable, which is another thing about Sansa. She kind of just, wherever she goes, sometimes people are a little suspicious of her, but she kind of turns them around. You know, she got people, even in the midst of her getting brutalized in King's Landing by Joffrey and other people, she still had an effect on people, especially people like Sandor, but also like Aerys Oakheart, you know, who still beat her, but really hesitated and argued. And Sansa thinks about how he pulled his punches, you know, and that seems like a minor thing, and it is, because he's still beating her. But Sansa's personality, I think, was a big part of him holding back, you know. And
it's also worth noting she got to Theon in a way Theon's own sister couldn't even.
Very
you know?
true. That's a great point. So I think that Alicent's obviously in a much bigger position of power than Sansa was. Sansa has to rise above all these terrible circumstances, where Alicent was, you know, it's weird to call
she had a dragon.
Yeah,
she's
doing
dragon. Okay.
But during her, of course, during her younger age, during her younger years, which we will see, she was, she had a difficult time of it when she was younger, because their uncle, I forget, no, older brother, no, uncle, yeah, Uncle Maegor took the throne, you know, and terrorized their half of the family, including killing their older brother Viserys through torture. So it wasn't all great for them coming up.
Baelisan,
that's pretty good.
Tyrell's just realizing.
Tyrell has won.
Yes,
please respond to the email that Ashaya sent back to you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just with your address and all that. So yes, you are
it
first
is awesome.
winner. And someone says he was in the bathroom while he won, and someone else said, just like a reed. Hanging out at Greywater Watch when the action's happening. No, you're still a winner. So, okay, well let's do our mid-roll.
Yeah, I want to see
through.
if the sound plays for this. I'm worried it won't, and we'll have to do some testing.
Okay, so yeah, what we're going to do during this mid-roll is we're going to rearrange our chairs. We're going to
say goodbye to Sean.
Say goodbye to Sean for now.
He's going to go work.
He's got to go to work.
It was so awesome to do this. I miss it.
It was not awesome at all. I wish you weren't here.
Yes, please.
Get out of here now. Scram.
Fine, screw you guys.
Please support our new Patreon goal so we can get a regular incidence of this, to have Sean here once a month at the least. And we will be showing you a cool video during this little interim. There is a really cool project called Unseen Westeros, which some of you have seen us share on social media. A lot of other creators like Elio and Linda and a lot of our other fellow podcasters out there are sharing this around as well. It is a labor of love created by a lot of different artists, who many of whom worked on the TV show with set design and background design and artwork and all kinds of really, really talented people. And they've created an exhibit, a labor of love. Like I said, it's in Germany right now, and they're hoping to get enough money to expand it and maybe have it go on tour. We'll see. You can contribute to their Kickstarter if you are interested and like what you see. So Shaya's going to play the little video.
Play it. You're going to comment and tell me if you don't hear any sound, and then I'll restart it, because I cannot test that.
Yeah, so please let us know. Help us out here. We're having some minor technical difficulty. And we'll see Sean next time. Everybody say goodbye to Sean.
Saying bye to me.
Right.
Hopefully see you again soon.
Goodbye, Sean's legs.
Yeah, the power of my thighs. Everyone do yoga and you'll get power thighs too.
we're back, and you guys
Alright.
all had sound. It's in Berlin, Germany. Bengalius Ram, who is asking that question. So hopefully Berlin is possible for you to get to.
I also, if you really liked the exhibit and you like what you saw, there's other links you can check out. But also, I want to recommend Elio and Linda, who of course wrote The World of Ice and Fire along with George R. R. Martin and are the creators of Westeros.org. Yeah, who? And they did a video. They toured the event already. They've been there. And they did a video on it and gave some behind-the-scenes info and showed a few other shots of it. Some really cool artwork, including dragons attacking the Rhoynar, a shot of Stigai, some really cool artist interpretations. There's a shot of Laura. It's really good. It's worth watching. So I highly recommend that. So, what are some other mid-roll events we have? I want to mention
all of our guest spots. We already talked about Secrets of the Citadel, but we're also on Gray Area next week, October 23rd. I will be on it too, a rare appearance by me.
That's right. That will be, I don't know what day that's going up, probably to about a day or two afterwards. We're going to record on the 23rd, but I don't think it's a live stream.
Yeah, I guess I was assuming it was, but I guess you're right.
I believe it's well, it'll either be up on the October 23rd, 24th, or 25th, I would guess. But we'll update y'all on that. We're recording a guest episode with Boiled Leather Audio Hour with Stefan Sasa, and that'll be recording on November 6th. And I expect that would be out probably within the week after that or so. Also want to give a shout out to Night's Cast, which is the new Watchers on the Wall podcast, which is a rotating cast because Watchers on the Wall has a lot of people and they have a lot of different fun people that are, most of whom we know personally from conventions, and they've been having a lot of fun. Their episode, I think they've done 3 episodes, maybe 4, and we're going to be a guest on there as well. We record with them on December 1st, and I imagine that's a Saturday. I imagine that episode will be up a day or two after that, probably. Not really sure what their turnaround time is on that, but it should be pretty quick, so that'll be fun. Then also I want to give a shout out to our friend Joe Buckley, who has helped us with writing several times, particularly with the Manderley, and as well as he's done help for us with our season 7 coverage and some other stuff as well. He's starting his own podcast. It doesn't have an episode yet, but just want to get the word out. It's called The Isle of Faces, and it's a very fandom-focused podcast. He's going to be doing a lot of interviews with creators within the fandom. I believe they have already recorded an episode with Davos's Fingers. I'm not sure about that, but he's also got an episode lined up.
Yeah, I don't trust anything you have to say after your this episode. Just don't listen to him.
Yeah, don't listen to me. Michael Klarfeld as well is going to be on an episode of Isle of Faces.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
we are trying to get some of these artists on to an episode too, by the way. We wanted to have Michael on an episode. We haven't asked him even, but
we're gonna.
We wanted to, like, why haven't we done this? We literally, we have this right here behind us. Every episode he should be on there.
Well, shout out to everyone in the chat who is recognizing Ashaya's pain right now. Ashaya fell down some stairs, luckily landed on her butt, which if you're going to fall downstairs, that's the best thing to land on. Well, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt a lot.
Full story is that I was holding 3 glasses in my hand, and I slipped down the stairs, and I was so dedicated to not breaking the glasses that instead I hurt my tailbone. So yeah, I'm trying to go to Six Flags tomorrow also, and like I'm gonna ride roller coasters, and I'm like, I don't know about that. My butt hurts.
Ouch.
Anyways,
you're gonna be sore. You're gonna need to go to the masseuse and just have a butt massage. So thanks for trooping it out. People saying that Ashaya is a trooper and that Ashaya is the best, and these things are all very true.
To all the people talking about trying a squishy pillow or cushion, it honestly doesn't help that much. It just makes it harder for me to adjust.
Yeah, she's already on a very comfortable, cushy seat.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cushy.
It can't really be more cushy.
Oh, Peter Griffin asked, did the drink survive? Yes, I did not break a glass.
She gave up her buttocks to save these glasses, so the glasses are grateful.
So we've got all of that.
I want to give a shout out to. Yeah, I also want to give it. That is our. Oh yeah, we do have more feature collaborations.
I told you there's a lot of announcements.
I want to give a shout out to Rita of the Copper Mane as well for the Ashaya is the best shirt.
That's the someone that took a video of Sean dancing.
The someone. So I will be wearing the Ashaya is the best shirt probably on our next live stream. So y'all can see it and be
I don't know why you don't wear it every day.
Yeah, well, I would not be the best if I wore the same shirt every day. And I can't be the best. I couldn't even be second best. I would be the stinkiest. So future collaborations as well. we're not done mentioning the collaborations, folks. We're going to have a collaboration with Kings and Generals, the YouTube channel, next year before the season, doing some battles of the War of Five Kings presentations. They do really good work with their battle presentations. Jim McGeehan and us and Radio Westeros and Stephen Atwell, I believe, maybe I'm missing somebody, but we're all combining to do something that was an extension of a panel we did at Ice and Fire Con, which was the Militias of Westeros, which talks about the different weaponry and fighting styles of the different areas of the Seven Kingdoms. And that went over really well as a panel, so we're going to do it as an episode. We haven't figured out exactly how it's going to be presented, but most of the script is written already. Jim's put the bulk of the work into that, and the rest of us have contributed. So that'll be really fun. And also, speaking of Radio Westeros, we're doing a multi-part Dance of the Dragons collaboration with them, something we've talked about for a while, but we've known we're going to have to wait for Fire and Blood to come out in order to do that. So once Fire and Blood comes out, it's going to be one of our first projects. And of course, it's always great when we do stuff with Radio Westeros. They're fantastic and at what they do, and we have so much in common with them, and we love working with them because we're all such good friends and work together really well. So that is good and something to look out for. A good way to keep track of all these guest episodes, because I know you guys can't possibly remember everything I just said about all the different guest episodes, is to join our Facebook group. That is one of the best places to keep track of news on what's coming up outside of our own activity stream. And with that in mind, of course, our Facebook group is just History of Westeros Podcast on Facebook. It's hard to not find if you just do that search. I want to give a shout out to our mods who do a fantastic job keeping the discussions going, keeping them clean. We don't really have much problems with trolling or people who are bad discuss, or do we? Maybe they just do such a good job that we don't even notice it. It could be that. It could be that. So shout out to Laura, Scott, Rebecca, Ari, Jennifer, and Thomas, all of whom are also patrons. So thank you all for your multi-tiered support of History of Westeros. We love you guys very much. And I get to chat with y'all regularly in our group chat. That's really fun. Also, just a quick mention, a lot of ways to support History of Westeros is on our website, historyofwesteros.com. I want to give a shout out to the Last Kingdom TV show and books, which we're fans of. I've read all the books. I just finished the newest book, War of the Wolves, last night while I was having the bath bomb.
The glittery bath.
I was glittered up reading about
I was
Vikings and
laughing
Saxons.
at him so hard.
She was laughing at me.
He just looked so funny. He was glittery.
I was really glittery.
Anyways, I'm surprised I still don't have any.
Yeah, it's weird. It's somehow not on. Oh, there's one. There's some glitter on my arm next to this ugly bruise on my arm. So, so that's really nice. The Last Kingdom stuff. The book's coming out. Season 3 is about to drop on Netflix as well. Netflix picked up the show, so it was harder to watch before, but seasons 1 and 2 are on there. They take place in around 860 AD. There's Vikings, there's Saxons, and there's lots of good fighting and strategy and psychology. It's really good stuff, so I highly recommend that. I would recommend the show. People are asking.
And so would I.
Yes, and Sean likes it too. There's only 16 episodes, 2 8-episode seasons, well made. Clever. If you like the show Vikings, you'll almost certainly like Last Kingdom. But if you don't like Vikings, you still might like Last Kingdom.
I don't like Vikings very much because I don't like all the mysticism in it, to be honest. That's one of the turnoffs. I know that it's not that much, but it was just so early on.
You're right. It's not that much, but it's definitely there.
It's there, and I just don't appreciate it, whereas Last Kingdom is a little more rooted in reality.
It is. It's a lot. It sticks to history a lot more. But it's interesting because they're around the same time period. Vikings, the TV show, kind of plays with chronology a little more, but it starts around 800.
Geek Furious says in all caps, Last Kingdom is way better than Vikings.
I wouldn't disagree. I like them both, but there's a lot more Vikings to sink your teeth into. There's only 16 episodes of Last Kingdom. So if you like Vikings, you'll probably like Last Kingdom. If you don't like Vikings, you still might like Last Kingdom, like Ashaya.
Yeah.
Sean and I like them both quite a lot. So, even despite acknowledging some of their flaws. So that's that. Let's move on back to
some information. We've got some stuff to talk about here with Worldcon and an event that we went to right before Worldcon. It was technically a Worldcon affiliated event. I'd bundle it in, but it was an evening with John Picasso, a conversation between George R. R. Martin and John Picasso, who is in A Song of Ice and Fire that I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. And just a really nice guy, and he was the guest of honor. and the MC at Worldcon and all that.
Yeah,
I've
Worldcon's-
met him a few times before.
That's right. He's a really, like Ashaya said, he's a really friendly guy. He's promoting.
He did this awesome initiative that, like, he really raised the bar for every guest, like, of honor for a Worldcon. He did the Mexicanx initiative, which is where he brought, I think, 50 different,
50.
like, Mexicanx, not just, like artists, writers, but fans, too. And so, like, it was just this, like, shot of new energy and young life and all of that into Worldcon, which is kind of an old and staid, type of convention. I mean, it's been going on. This is the 76th Worldcon. So some people have been going to cons, to Worldcon in particular, for their whole lives, and they're 80 years old, now.
Yeah,
So,
it's wild to think about how long it's been around. And yeah, John Boccaccio is a wonderful guy, really charismatic, really just a giving guy. And he's won something like 7 or 8 Art Hugos.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Dang, the guy is decorated.
Big Kev 619 SD says, "What up, guys? Just here to say hi and donate to a good cause. Keep up the good work. The great work."
Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. As always, folks, you can send super chats with questions or just if you want a message you want us to broadcast to everybody else.
Yep,
we're happy to do it.
So back to that. So
the evening event.
Ahead of it, John Boccaccio, we have him on Facebook, and he had said that he was going to have this, and he was going to open it up to Q&As. So we prepared our questions, for quite a while. But I have to tell you, it wasn't until like a day or two before that Aziz was like, "Oh, I thought of the perfect question that you could ask," and it was, "Did Bloodraven take Dark Sister to the wall?" And the reason that we deliberate over this is because George is real tricky. He can really sidestep a question, and so you have to get it just right, but then you face the issue of it maybe being too long, which also allows him to sidestep it or not understand it. Or
this is not our first rodeo, or was not our first rodeo.
My first question, I've had some disappointing answers and I've had some satisfying answers, but let me tell you, this answer is the highlight of maybe my year. I was very happy with it, honestly. My question, I guess I'll just play it for you guys. You can listen to the whole clip.
That's
as
right.
It happens.
Here is a fun
So hopefully
moment.
you guys can hear this.
And listen for the sound of me yelling,
yeah,
"Oh!"
You can hear in the crowd. You can hear someone go, "Yes, Ashaya." Barely, barely. Okay, let's see if this plays. Nope. Did it stop playing?
No good?
That was weird.
Did it play? Okay, cool. So, guys, you oh. I think did it. I asked, did it play?
Okay. Not playing, people said. That is so irritating. I need to figure this out.
Well, I'll keep talking while Ashaya works on that. Basically, the evening was really fun. We got to see LML and Elodia, the Amethyst Koala, and Kyle, as well as our friends George and Angie. And shout out to George and Angie for letting us stay with them. It made the trip possible.
You need to be quiet, please. I'm trying to do this. It should be. You should. By the way, you guys, you'll still see us, and it'll just be sound playing, but we'll still be on your screen. Okay, now I'm starting it. Please be quiet.
Hi there. I love your histories. I'm really excited for the illustrated Fire and Blood coming out. So I had a history-based question. I was curious if Bloodraven took Dark Sister with him to the wall. Did Bloodraven take Dark Sister with him to the wall, his sword?
Did Bloodraven take Blood Sister with him?
Dark Sister.
Dark Sister. Yes, he did.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, now that played. You're good, Aziz. Sorry for shushing you.
That's okay. I couldn't hear whether it was playing.
Yeah, he doesn't have headphones on. That's why I have these on, so that I can actually know that. So we'll
wearing
also play...
mini hats and wearing mini headphones.
This, I'm just gonna handle this. You can keep talking.
Okay,
about
so
that. Yeah, Blood Sister.
Blood Sister. So that was a really amazing moment. We were excited that he gave us a straight answer with no hedging. It was just yes. So that was really fantastic. It made the night would have been amazing without that, but that really made the night. And like Ashaya said, really gotta engineer your questions right with George. Like you said, he can He can squeak out of them. He can go off on a tangent.
Let me tell you my most disappointing question. I've probably talked about it many times before, which is I asked him, and I said a bit about it. I asked about the unnamed Princess of Dorne, basically, and what her name was. I said we'd heard so much about her because she had an impact on Doran and Oberyn and Ilya, yada yada. I said a whole thing. He said in his reply to me, and this is immediately after reading the history of the Westerlands from the World of Ice and Fire, to be clear, full of dead characters, he says, well, she's dead. I'm like,
dang it.
So upset, and I was like, I almost burst into tears. I was like, I really didn't expect him to say that to me, honestly. So now I'm like super on edge to not get something that I'm emotionally invested in asked. But our good friend Lauren, Joanna Lannister of pre-Game of Thrones and ASOF University, she did ask him this question again. She asked him what the unnamed Princess of Dorne's name is, and basically asked if it was Lareza, based on Oberyn's naming scheme for his children. If you're not familiar with it, he named his kids with Ilaria after him and his brother and sister, because we've got, Obella, Dorea, and Ilya, and so then we have Lareza there. Anyways, that's a digression, but she asked him that too, and he was like, I think you've thought about this more than I have.
Yeah, which was not the answer we wanted to hear. Oh well, what can you do? So maybe he'll fix that later. He'll give us that name. Maybe Ariane will think of her grandmother or something like that. Yeah. There's still a chance. There's still a chance.
I hope.
He has heard the fandom, and maybe he will respond. Now,
Aziz asked a question too.
I also got to ask a question, and it's not as earth-shattering, but it is important. Whoa.
That was a terrible sound.
That was a squeaky chair has infected us. But let's have Ashaya play that clip as well.
Okay, let's see this, if I can do this while I'm standing. Okay.
Hi there. My question is pretty simple. Did Bittersteel have children?
Oh, did Bittersteel have children?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That was it.
Cool.
Very simple.
Yeah, so not as impactful.
But he thought about it for a second.
Absolutely.
While we play the clip, is that you can hear what he actually, how he reacted to it. And I want to clarify that one of the reasons he was hesitant about some answers is that he couldn't hear very well. They're like, when you're on stage, on a big stage like that, and we've experienced this ourselves, you can get a little bit of a weird echo, and sometimes it can get really bad. And so he basically, there were some questions that were harder for him to answer.
He kind of left the door open for Bittersteel having kids, but he said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I think we can close the door on that unless we get newer info, unless something else comes up that makes us say, well, maybe he decided to change his mind on that, or decided that the 99% is actually the 1% there. So let's talk about the Dark Sister bit, though. I think there's a lot of...
Let's talk about... No, we set the stage here.
Yeah, now that we've set the stage, the Bittersteel thing just kind of changes the possibilities for him, but it doesn't really change a whole lot. It just kind of narrows down the possibilities for Blackfire.
So with Bloodraven taking Dark Sister to the wall, the question is whether he took it beyond the wall, or if he took it... Maybe that's my next question for him in another convention. So did Bloodraven take Dark Sister beyond the wall? Did he take it beyond the wall, or did he leave it at the wall? Probably it's in the cave, but that is a question.
So I think the first thing to address, these are all really good questions, but the first thing to address I think is a little before that, which is some people are really surprised that he was allowed to take such a valuable weapon, such a valuable heirloom to the wall. I am not that surprised, to be honest. First of all, there's nothing that tells us that it was a permanent thing. Bloodraven has no descendants. When he dies, that sword could easily be returned to King's Landing and go back to the Targaryen family. There's nothing preventing that from being the arrangement. That could have been an understanding they have. So I don't buy this. There's no way they would allow that to happen. Because if they had an arrangement like that, that totally cancels out any concerns about him giving away the sword forever. But also, I don't think that Dark Sister is as important as people are making it out to be. It's nothing like Blackfire. It was never symbolic of the Targaryen crown. It was never associated directly with rule. It was just a really fancy, nice sword that a lot of different Targaryens held, but never the ruling Targaryen. It was always a second son or a third son, or Aemon the Dragon Knight being in the King's Guard, all that. also, look what happened when they treated a sword as really important. The Blackfire rebellions could not have happened if people didn't care as much. Well, it would have been harder for them to happen if people didn't care so much about the value of Blackfire, the meaning behind it. So I think, in a sense, Aegon V was saying, yeah, Dark Sister doesn't matter that much. He's casting doubt on its value so that no one can use it the way that Blackfire was used as a symbol of legitimacy. So, yeah, so I don't agree necessarily with the arguments that this shouldn't have happened.
So now that we talked about why it's fine for it to have happened, whatever. Yeah. If you can come up with, this is the thing about things like plot holes or anything like that. If you can think about it for a good minute and think about any solution to it, even if it's not the most satisfying to you, it's not a damn plot hole. There's a solution. You just might not be super happy with it, but there is an answer.
There's sometimes it's something we haven't thought of either. Yeah. Like, I think we've given some good possibilities, but it might be something entirely outside of what we've talked about. So,
so let's talk about who might end up with Dark Sister and the implications of this, which is the more exciting subject.
I would guess he had it with him when he vanished because he was ranging.
Yeah, I would guess that as well. I think it's in the cave. He had it with him when he vanished. So the thing that we frequently speculate on, and there's a few angles of this, but the idea basically is that it would leave the cave through Mira and them leaving, so that maybe Mira wields it for a while. And either she dies, boo-hoo, or she naturally gives it to someone who's better with sword than she is.
Yeah, she's a
net. Who could be Arya Stark, the Dark Sister of the Stark family, basically, who needs a little shorter, a smaller of a blade. It would fit her better. And so I am fond of Dark Sister, personally going to Arya, but there are some other options too.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think Arya is by far the most likely. I think maybe what we saw on TV with her getting the cat's paw dagger is sort of the parallel for her having Dark Sister, and it may be that she...
Yeah, I feel like they wanted her to have some Valyrian steel.
Yeah.
And she will have it in the books, too.
Yeah, I totally agree, but you're right, there are other possibilities. Mira could just keep it. She could end up keeping it.
Yeah. I do have... Some people bring up Jon as a possibility, and there's two reasons for this, for me, that I think it's valid, it's fine. A few reasons. One is that he's a Targaryen. He's a Targaryen bastard. It's a Targaryen blade. And stay in the family, whatever. The other is he might lose Longclaw. He might not have Longclaw, whatever. He needs to have Valyrian steel blade. He's a big hero, whatever. That also seems possible. For me, a bigger aspect of it, and this is just my own thoughts, which is, and if you listen to this show, you probably know that I'm a big fan of Jon Visenya Snow. Longpaw. And I see Jon as... I personally envision Rhaegar thinking that he was going to have another daughter. He's going to complete the 3 heads of the dragon. He had Aegon. He had Rhaenys. Now he has Visenya. That's Jon's middle name. It didn't matter if he was a bastard, yada yada. Which... Visenya wielded Dark Sister, so I get a little kick out of the idea of Jon wielding Dark Sister if he was a Visenya, basically.
I like that a lot. Of course, it would create a little bit of weirdness where he has to give Longclaw to someone else.
Yeah, either Longclaw is destroyed or lost or something, truly, or he just gives it to Jorah or to one of the Mormont women who are up there in the north.
Could be.
There's a bunch of Mormonts that it could go to.
That's true.
And he's very honorable. But I would say I'm like 95% Arya gets it.
I agree.
And there's the other 5% is like maybe Jon or maybe Mira. And again, I feel like Mira could bring it to Jon or she could bring it to Arya.
Yeah.
So I think she's a good
tiny chance. It just doesn't appear at all.
I think that's true as well.
I think the fact that George had thought about its fate and decided that Bloodraven took it is an argument against that it won't appear. I think it will appear, but we gotta, if we're being thorough, we gotta throw that out there. It's not mentioned
in the main books for so long at all.
Not at all. Nor is Blackfire.
Hard to say.
So, Joe Magician with a great question. Do we think that Rangers were sent out to look for? He suggests they went to look for the sword, but I think they would also go to look for their Lord Commander. They would want both. They would want to find out what happened to him. He vanished beyond the wall. That was their Lord Commander. Like, where did he go? That you wouldn't just say, oh well, he's gone. I think they would send some people out, and who knows what they found? Probably nothing. I mean, they probably didn't find the cave. Whatever happened with him too, though, like he was presumably not alone. And of course, we're getting into the weeds here, but this is where some of the Cold Hands was a Raven's Tooth guy, which I love that theory. I think it fits really well. But
Is that
yeah,
what they would call them? A raven's tooth? The raven's teeth? Or
yeah, a singular. He's like a molar or an incisor.
Yeah, do they have like, that's my question is, within the raven's teeth, are they
Yeah.
delineated like based on where they are in the mouth?
Definitely. Yeah, the sergeants are the incisors, the
Yeah.
lieutenants are the molars. And, yeah, molar.
Lieutenant Molar Dark for you.
No, the molar has to be a Mormont for the molar bears. Molar bears.
Molar bears, I see. Well, you're living up to that person who asked for more puns.
Yes, I'm sorry that was the only one. I've only made one pun, so that's
I
actually
don't
not
know
very
that.
many. I need to do more than that. Yeah, so here's a good comment from Krieger Damerung. Sam Tyler revealed to John that Dragon Steel kills White Walkers. And that's going to come up once they figure that out. People in the book have not figured that out yet. That's, well, I mean, apart from this passage that Sam has read. We haven't seen Valyrian Steel used on an other yet in the so we have seen Dragon
I like
Glass.
this. I just want to share this message from Alison Swan. I know it's not the point, but I'm laughing at the idea of them looking for the sword and not for the commander. That's hilarious.
Like, screw that guy. He was weird, creepy, had one eye, was really rude. But his sword, yeah, let's find that. It was awesome. We could sell it and feed the Night's Watch for a generation.
This is also a good time for us to mention our Dark Sister episode is always there and waiting for you.
That's right. It's only would need a small update.
Yeah, because we definitely were pretty sure that he brought it.
Yeah, that's the way we leaned. Yeah,
we leaned already, which is why it was a good question to ask to confirm that after the fact.
Thank you to Mateo Torral for saying those puns are life, Aziz. I know that not everyone hates them.
Just me.
We did someone did put a review on our iTunes that said, great content, horrible jokes. So not everyone loves them. But I don't think I'm going to change. Yeah, Joe Magician says, imagine how much Tywin would pay for Dark Sister. Wow, yeah, he would pay a lot. He would pay a lot. They could definitely, they could feed the watch with that. That would be a good way to handle their food problem. They wouldn't have had to take a loan from the Iron Bank. Maybe they could have just given Dark Sister as a down payment. As collateral. Yes. Okay, so what else do we have to say about Dark Sister? I wonder, do we cover all the possibilities? The possibility that it's in the cave, the possibility that
it's at the wall.
Yeah, I think that we covered all the different Dark Sister options.
I think Arya, Mira, Jon are the primary potentials.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're closing in on the 2-hour mark. Yeah. So why don't let's do the book giveaway.
Okay, yeah, let's do the book giveaway, then we'll talk a little bit more about Worldcon.
Yes.
And then we're about done. Yeah, Worldcon stuff, then yeah.
Zoilo says, horrible jokes. They're half the fun of your shows. I know. That's why I can't stop. Just because one guy says horrible jokes. Sorry, one guy.
So yeah, book giveaway. It's 3:19. I don't know what time you want to give them to, but you're going to send an email to WesteroSHistoryGiveaway@gmail.com. Write book and put what country you live in or something.
Yes, right. WesteroSHistoryGiveaway@gmail.com. Send your emails right now.
In the chat box
you have 5 minutes. We'll give you 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes. You have till 3:25.
Okay.
And that is the cutoff time. Any emails that come in before that are going to be eligible. So Ashaya will be monitoring that. In the next 5 minutes, we'll announce the winners. And someone's going to be a very happy new owner of a signed copy of Game of Thrones. Okay, so let's start talking about Worldcon. Worldcon
let's
is.
Do it. Well, you start off.
Yeah, I'll get us started while you're managing that. Worldcon is, like Ashaya said, has been around a long time. This was Worldcon
76th year.
76, yeah.
And it changes where it is every year.
Yeah, it is truly Worldcon. It is all over the place. It's been in some really extremely, like, to us, remote places. I believe in 2021, it's in New Zealand, if I remember correctly. Maybe 2020?
Next, it's 2019 Dublin, 2020 New Zealand, 2021 DC, hopefully, but that's not for sure.
So I'm off by a year. 2020 is New Zealand. So that one's going to be hard for a lot of us to go to. But
I would love to, but I don't think we have the money. If I go to New Zealand, I'm going to be down there for a while. Going to Australia, it's
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So it's got a long-standing tradition, and it's been around, like I said, I believe it was 1939 was the first year. I think there was a year or two that it missed. But there was, it's always been a celebration of sci-fi work, and eventually that included fantasy and artwork. Artwork has always been a big part of it. That's part of why John Boccaccio is such a big part of it, and other artists have always been a big part of Worldcon. It's not just about the writing. It is about the art as well, which is a huge part of it. And so let's talk about what we saw there. It was our first Worldcon. It was in San Jose, and it was fun to go to California.
We went to first, I guess. Sounds good, right?
Yes, let's do that first.
Speaking of artists, one of the panels I went to was, and Aziz went to as well, so there was that. John Picasso was running a panel with 4 other artists that were talking about how they fuse writing and artwork, and how they, how they combine the two, whether it's working with a writer to create their own book or whether they're writing their own stuff. And they all had these different ways of doing it. And so I'll put the image on the screen. You can see there on the far left is Grace P. Fong, otherwise known as Fictograph. And I love her work. I have a little bit more to say about her work in regards to the stuff we got signed, actually. Mm-hmm. And then next to her is Mariana Pelova. And I'm very excited for her new book to come out. It comes out, I think, in just a month or two in the U.S. It's out. Yeah. I mean, if you speak Spanish, read Spanish, her book's already out. She's a Mexican author. She's one of the ones that Picasso brought. And then you got in the middle Picasso himself, of course. And then you've got this guy with this great name, Gregory Manchess. Who's got some cool book projects going on as well. It was really fascinating. And then on the far right, Robbie Trevino, who his work I actually really like. It's like very psychedelic and trippy, sci-fi, like kind of a guidebook type thing. Anyways, I really liked that panel. They were all really passionate, and it was actually really inspiring to me to go to that panel and to see their passion. Yeah,
they represented a lot of different styles and backgrounds, and ethnicities, which is part of having a different background, which gives you a different perspective on art and fuels the types of things that you're interested in and are inspired by. Yeah, it was great. We sat in the front row. Kyle was with us. Yeah, and it was great. Yeah, that name cannot be real. I know, Manchess for real. It's a very masculine name. Manchess. Yes, I was almost distracted by his name. When he was speaking, I was just thinking about his name and I forgot what he said. No, I'm just kidding. He was also a really good speaker.
Yeah. So then we've got we went to that panel in particular, and I said Grace P. Fong, Fictograph. I included. Okay, we got a bunch of things signed basically. So we got some maps. A map signed, my Westeros dress. Aziz has a Lannister bag that I got him. But also Joanna Lannister, who I brought up. And whoever said who said that thing, SKG Anna, when are you going full 1080p plus? It's supposed to be 1080p right now. So thank you very much. Anyways,
it just doesn't always.
No, I don't know properly. What's up with all that. Whatever. So Joanna Lannister brought me this awesome print that she had commissioned by Grace P. Fong, Fictograph. The funny thing is she didn't know that Grace was going to be at the convention. And so she gave me this print, and Lauren gave one of them to George and gave me one. I had Aziz go through and sign it, and I was like, she's here at the con, right? And Lauren just freaks out about it.
She's like, what?
Yeah, so here's the artwork that Lauren, as you know, she goes by Joanna Lannister, so there's no surprise why she commissioned this artwork. It's Rhaella Targaryen with the unnamed Princess of Dorne, Joanna Lannister, and Cassana Estermont. And so George has a copy of this now. We gave to him while we were like, she doesn't have a name, by the way. There's no name for the unnamed Princess of Dorne. So we figure maybe we put that out there, and he gives her a name because he has to look at her face. But I have my own copy that he signed as well, and we went and talked to Fictograph about it. So that was a nice coincidence.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was a wonderful coincidence. And George I highly recommend if you can go to a convention where he's signing. And of course, once the Winds of Winter comes out, which I know we've been all waiting on forever, but it will eventually happen. When he does, he's going to start touring a lot. He has been going to much fewer conventions because he needs to focus on all his projects, primarily the Winds of Winter, but other things as well. And so once the book is out, he's going to be appearing all over the place doing signings. I really recommend going to his signings. They're really, really well organized, and he's really friendly about making sure everyone gets their stuff signed. And if the line happens to be short enough, he'll let people go through twice. We went through some of the lines twice.
Yeah.
And
We kept ourselves to that. Like, we could have definitely gone through more.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be that person. The person that was mentioned in the New York Times article about George, they talked about, like, someone who went through, like, 6 times, and he was like, you again? Like, no, I don't think I want to be her. It's tempting. If I had stuff for that many people, I would just, man up, woman up, and do it.
Okay, we've reached our cutoff, so no more entries will be accepted for the book drawing. We're going to go ahead and Ashaya's going to go ahead and figure that out.
Okay.
She's going to do that. I'll keep talking while she does
you can talk about this map
count.
shot that we got this map shot signed for Michael Clarfeld. I put it on the screen.
Okay, so we have this is a shot of Ashaya in her wonderful Westeros dress that George loves, that we all love actually, and that's a wonderful map of Essos there. That's the same one we have behind us, not the exact same one, but a copy of it. And we got George to sign that. And is that the one we sent to Michael? We sent that back to Michael Clarfeld in Germany. We were slowly giving him signed copies of all of his maps. He sends them to us. We take them to a signing. We get them signed, ship it back to him, and he's one happy camper. And it's really easy and fun for us to do as well. So yeah, our first experience with the George signing, I may have spoken about this before on a con or on a live stream, but I want to reiterate it because not everyone would have heard it. The first time we ever went to a signing, the line was really long. And we were worried that the signing would end before we got to the front of the line. Someone came, one of his assistants or someone at the con came out and just announced to us, hey, anyone that is in this line, don't worry. George says he's going to sign everyone's stuff. So no matter how long it takes. That's just a sampling of the type of man he is. This guy is a multi-millionaire that does not have to do this. He doesn't make very much or at all from the signings. It's not something he's doing for himself. So... And the fact that he would go above and beyond basic, what's laid out in front of him, what would be required to do a decent job of this. He's going beyond that to make sure everybody gets it signed. And this is, of course, this wasn't super long ago. He was mega famous even at this point. So it's really cool. We're really happy with that. I also want to give a shout out to LML and Kyle, who also asked questions during the John Picacio evening with George R. R. Martin. And they were very friendly questions that were meant to just show George how much we like them and or how much we like him and how much we appreciate everything he's done. So good job, guys, for taking the opportunity to use your question to give George some positive feedback, because sometimes people ask really bad questions that are kind of annoying. Some of you have read the interviews that he's done with some people that ask him, he cuts them off before their question's even over. Really? Are you kidding me? How about that? That's really cool. Okay,
we got our
the winner. It's a recognizable name.
Oh, no! Oh, sorry. I just dropped my keyboard. I was just so freaked out.
No harm, no foul. Looks like everything's fine. Keyboard unbroken.
Yeah.
So the winner is Jonathan Hagee of Knoxville, Prince of Sunsphere, wielder of the twin Valyrian steel daggers, Viper's Fangs. Attaboy, John. Yeah,
we see him at Ice and Fire Con and at Con of Thrones.
He did
a great Rhaego cosplay. And Michael's in the Iron Islands map, not the Iron Islands, in the Dornish map that Michael's doing. He's playing multiple of the Dane figures there. You'll see the art when Michael publishes it. He hasn't shared it yet. Yeah, but Jonathan is actually going to be in one of these maps too. So what a winner there.
For his Rhaego, he did, instead of the blue streaks over the shoulder for the Dothraki TV, he did pink.
Yeah, like the purpley pink.
Yeah, the purpley pink. So it was kind of like it was more, it was a great idea. Well done, Jonathan, and you win a prize.
Yeah, you get a book. How cool. Anyways.
We swear that was random.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah, I do the random number generator on Google for full.
She counts the number of entries and then does the random number.
Yeah, that's why I'm like sitting here like focused, like count. Stop emailing.
All right, good job, Jonathan. Awesome. Also, so congrats to Jonathan and congrats to Terrell for winning the bath bombs. Again, next stream we do will be another giveaway. It'll be the coins. We'll do some coins from Shire Post Mint, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Okay, so now let's continue. We're talking about signings.
Yes, we had a little bit.
I want to share. I have this image. This is George signing my Dressros.
The Dressros getting signed. There's
For
Lauren.
people asking where you can get it, it's Black Milk Clothing. Their license ended You can't buy it officially anymore, but there are Black Milk Clothing reseller groups. That's also, by the way, in the picture, Laura and Joanna Lannister there. So anyways, there's reseller groups on eBay and Facebook that you can use. There's also knockoffs that are just slightly lower quality, but exist. So it's up to you what you want to do, but you cannot buy it officially anymore.
Not only is it a lovely dress with an awesome map on it, but it comes full of joke opportunities.
Yeah, you'll see. I guess let me play this video. I think I might have to do the fix thing. I might have to fix the sound real quick, like again. So just give me 1 second. Okay. Perfect. But I brought you one of ours because we do a podcast on your series. We love your series.
Okay.
We love the history. Just figured I'd give you.
So History of Westeros is your podcast?
Yeah, definitely.
It shows all the history stuff.
So I asked you the Blood Raven Dark Sister question and made my year problem. Yeah, so hopefully seeing you this weekend with the BWB stuff.
These garments that are made of Westeros are interesting.
Yeah, I know they don't. They have
He
the
said
queens down there, not where they should be.
She has so many.
The wall up here. I'm not that cold, I swear.
The really creepy ones is the ones that have my face on.
Oh, it's like for somewhere around here. This
That's
is my
funny.
favorite line.
Oh, God.
Okay.
It's the best one.
All right. Well, that was that.
Shout out to Kyle Foster, a.k.a. Zora Head, for taking that video.
Yeah,
This is,
you could hear him laughing
Yeah,
there.
a very distinctive laugh, of course.
Yeah, no, I was very happy that he took that video for me. We've been to a lot of signings, but Kyle was definitely like very dedicated.
Okay, so
Anyways.
Geek Fury says you should take him saying the name of the podcast, splice it out, and have him introduce the opening of each episode. I actually did that. Our last episode, the Roynar episode, starts with the name of your podcast is History of Westeros, and then so that's how it goes. Ashaya also added it into the video I believe it's near the mid roll. It's not at the beginning. Yeah, we had to put it. I forget.
It in the video?
You did. Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember. It's all the blur when I'm editing. Sit down, and 12 hours later, I get up.
That's right. The world of editing. That's right. The most tedious part of this profession.
So yeah, we got that signed, and so basically we got our book signed, we got our map signed. We're like, what else could we get signed? We can go through again. And I got Aziz this bag. It was kind of, I thought I might give it to him for his birthday, but I just gave it to him early. I don't know. It's a cool Lannister bag. It's a messenger bag.
And in the tradition of getting things signed, a clothing signed, well, I have this bag. Now we have this display. I have this hanging on the wall because, I'm only going to need it for trips. So it's a cool piece of artwork hanging on the wall, a signed Lannister bag thing. So.
Also, I just want to make fun of George's signature. Mine is much worse still. But like I've seen some like specifically John Picasso actually signed a print for me because I bought one from him at Worldcon, and he signed it, and his signature was so beautiful. And I have some other friends who are artists, and like they just like really put effort into their signature. I just want to judge George for this.
Yeah, at least this is distinct, but you're right. You cannot really tell.
You can see the RR.
Yeah, the RR is the most distinct part. You're right. Does the Lannister bag contain any gold? It didn't come up when I passed through airport security. There was no metal detector, so I guess not. Darn. That explains why it was only $35. Okay, so let's see. What else do we have? So there were some events at Worldcon. Of course, we went to several panels. We got to see George. We got to see a lot of other people. We got to see the art. There was a lot of fantastic stuff in the dealer room. That's always a great thing at any convention, is going to the dealer room and seeing all sorts of fun fan-made art, or sometimes it's more corporate art, but still there's a lot of great stuff to find from the community or from related communities. I want to give a shout out to the BWB. We got to hang out with them quite a bit.
So there is, on the Song of Ice and Fire, on the Westeros.org forums, there's a BWB sub-forum, which if you're going to a convention, I highly recommend you post in there and make sure you meet up with some of them, because they're great people. They're so welcoming, and we've been to a bunch of conventions with some BWBers. Like our first one, we met the BWB and got invited up to George's room and all of that, but it's only at Worldcons that they induct new members. They used to do the whole, you've probably heard about it, the thing where George would send them on a quest, usually to get some food or a drink or something like that that's specific to the city they're in. They bring it no matter, even if it's 3 a.m. at the time, they have to go find it. And I've heard some great stories about dumpster diving and craziness from the BWB. And then they get knighted.
Stories. Yeah.
So, like, for example, one of our friends is Dave, Castellan of the Lamprey Pie. And Castellan's really high, too. You can tell by the titles how long they've been in the BWB, how many conventions they've been to.
Mm-hmm. Like some people have been in the BWB for like 20
They're
years.
like this guy Pod, who we're friends with, he's a king.
He's
been to the most, and he's a king.
Pod. Yeah, he goes to lots
that's
of
pretty
World
awesome. So, but it became too unwieldy around the time that Game of Thrones started.
Mm-hmm.
And so they changed it to something that they call the free companies.
Yes.
Which they all basically have to take a shot of some sort of this liquor that has these ghost chilies and ghost peppers. It's really spicy.
It was spicy.
And so you have to take the shot, and you're inducted. They have a new theme for every location.
We all kind of looked at each other funny.
For example, Jasmine and Brian that we were talking about, they're the free company of the Fire Worm, because it was one of the first years that they did the spicy shots, basically. And they were in Spokane, where there was fires going on right then. It was really bad, really smoky. Whereas we were in San Jose, which has the redwood trees, pot is legal, and they went with the free company of the Greenleaf, and I am extremely happy about that.
That was very cool. Yes, we're in the free company of the Greenleaf, officially and for all time. And it's cool. We're very happy with that. We were also, again, we were with David and Elodia and Kyle, and they were all inducted as well. And we all made faces at each other after doing the shot because it was, whoa. And
I actually didn't have to do the shot.
She didn't have to.
I'm special, though. I was like, Jasmine was giving me a hard time about it for years because she'd done it and like, Yuri's going to be terrible. He's really look forward to it, yada, yada. And I was nervous about it, not because of the spiciness, because I don't drink alcohol and I really wasn't looking forward to taking a shot of alcohol at all.
That kind of shot, it would have crushed you.
Yeah, I would have not been happy with it at all. But I'm talking to another member in it, Katie, who I met at our first convention at Con Carolinas, actually. Yeah. When we went up to George's room, she was the one in the corner chatting away with George, as it happens. Like, they were literally just in a corner, her and George, chatting away about football and politics, basically. Anyways, Katie doesn't drink either. And she was the bartender, and I brought up how nervous I was about it. And she, like, looked at me like I was crazy, and she was like, you don't have to take the shot. I'll just give you a different drink, like some soda or something. I'm like, oh, thank you, Katie. I'm so grateful. So anyways, I'm not a real member, maybe.
So also shout out to Lee and Rachel, who had a party that we got to go to, where we saw our friend Bron Steris, who has the awesome license plate, R+L is J.
Yeah, what
which
a cool
I put up on
license
Instagram.
plate. It's true.
And thanks also to Eric Kluth, a.k.a. Blackfire, who has the distinction of the name Blackfire. He's
at Blackfire on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, because he's the first person that George ever revealed the Blackfires to in real life. Like he was still developing that concept, and George and Eric asked him about it, and George actually told him. Yeah. So he grabbed that nickname before it was even known. So like, nice job. He also
Eric
gave us.
He's really very helpful. He was very nice. He's a very fun guy. But when we were at the BWB party, it's awkward. You don't want to go up to George and say something to him necessarily. We don't, at least. We feel awkward. And so Eric came up to me. He came up to me and Aziz separately and was like, did you get a chance to talk to George? And I was like, no. I was like, kind of quiet about the whole thing. And he was like, want me to come up and introduce you? Want me to bring you up? And I was like, wow, that's so nice. And he just did that because George knows him. And it was a great little thing for sure. I felt much better about interrupting his evening.
Very nice. Yeah, it was good. I got to sit with him for a few minutes and talk to him a little bit. We also rode the elevator up with him. And this was actually interesting, not just that we rode the elevator with him, and he had cool skull suspenders on, and I had skull socks. So I was like, And he, acknowledged me. No, he thought it was fun. He laughed. But he was on the way to the party like we were, and he was like this. He was walking to the party like this. He was bouncing. He was really excited to be going to a party. And I just want to share that to show you kind of his state of mind, the fact that he's still just like, happy-go-lucky dude. Fame hasn't changed him that much. He still loves to go to conventions, go to parties, and just be part of the convention, be part of the action, be part of the fandom. He wants to still be a regular guy as much as that's possible. So, witness me, so Joe Magician says, Aziz points at socks. Witness me. Yes, that's right. I need, where's my chrome spray paint?
But we also had, so obviously the George stuff was great. The BWB stuff was great. Met a lot of people who got inducted. But we got to see Kyle a bit more and stay with George S., who does some great cosplay and great place. It was really nice of him to let us stay with him and all that. And we also, well, I didn't go. We spent a day and met up with David and Elodia, LML rather, in San Francisco. But then another day, Aziz went actually to LML's house and got to, you know, meet his birds, which Aziz could not rave enough about his birds. I'm not a bird fan, so I'm glad I didn't go.
The birds were amazing.
But no, Aziz loves those birds.
His birds are so smart and clever. Yeah, I loved the birds. And it was fun hanging out at their place as well. Good to see people, good to see different friends and see their, you know, their home turf and all that. He took us around San Fran a bit and we got to eat at some good places. And yeah, it was very hospitable. Everyone's so friendly.
Gotta love California. The weather's great.
Shout out to Silas Toms as well for coming to have Mexican food with us. I forgot what night that was. Thursday, I believe. That was cool. Yes, we did. LML is correct. We did get on that.
You're so vague.
We did get on the Greenleaf.
It was legal
company
when you
of
were
the
there.
Greenleaf. Yeah, it's true.
It's not like you're saying you smoke here.
That's true. We took advantage of the legal status of marijuana in California for sure.
Wow, this story from Peter Griffin. I had 2 birds. One bird figured out how to open his cage and let his brother out. They both flew out the window. Never seen them again.
Whoa.
That's too bad.
Damn.
My brother had a parrot actually, and my mom lost his parrot, and I'm really, really, really mad. It's like an African gray parrot or something like
Those
that.
aren't cheap.
Nice. It's nice. It's supposed to live a long time.
And he loved it too, I'm sure.
And he loved his parrot, Curly, named after the Three Stooges character, and she was like, well, what can I do? So they just replaced the bird and just named it Curly. He just pretends that he never lost the first Curly. He didn't like say Curly too. It's just Curly. Let's pretend that never happened.
We should have told this story when we were talking about the Last Kingdom. No, you're Uhtred now.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It was exactly that. You're Curly now.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred, son of Uhtred, son of Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Yeah, speaking of that, LML's, that's one of the things I was ranting about how cool LML's birds were. That one of them will infiltrate the other birds' cages sometimes, steal their food, and then yell touchdown when he celebrates. Anytime he's happy or celebrates, he yells touchdown, touchdown, kind of like that. And it's just classic, a bird with so much personality. So that was super fun. Have we covered everything? We may have covered everything.
I think we'll have to do our supporters.
Yeah, we're gonna do our supporters.
I think we covered everything else. We got our images in. We had a lot of news to cover here.
We did have a lot of news. We hope we had enough good content for y'all.
You'll be able to see Aziz later tonight too if you go to Gemma's Citadel stream.
Show up for Gemma's stream tonight. It'll be at 7:30 Eastern, which should be 11:30 GMT. This is that half of the year where GMT and EST are within 4 hours of each other. Sometimes they're half of the year, they're 5 hours apart. So this is good. So yeah, I'm going to read the Patreon credits aloud. I haven't done them aloud in a while. When you guys hear them on the scripted episodes, you don't hear my mistakes.
There are many.
It's hard to say them all, but we power through. You know, you get better at them by practicing. So thank you everyone who showed up today. Thanks to the super chatters, to the questions, to everyone who supports us, everyone who liked the channel, who liked this episode. And whatever ways you choose to support us, we appreciate it very much. There's a lot of ways to do that, and we're very thankful that we get to do this. So let's be specific with some shout-outs. Let's say thanks to Lord Mark of House Joseph, the Snow and Winterfell, writer of Mazlacartho, the white dragon with green scales, horns, wings, and talons. Talanis the Talon is king of Gogossos, rider of Talarius, a red dragon with scales, horns, and talons of Midnight Black. FYI, there's going to be some Gogossos action in the next episode because, hey, that's where Nymeria went. She went very near Gogossos. We'll be talking about that. That's some creepy blood magic hybrid horror stuff. Jinx of House Lear is Green Queen of the Rainwood, rumored daughter of a Woods Witch, rider of Erogenia, a sylphic albino dragon with amethyst eyes and opalescent wings. Introducing Robert IV of House Ardeacor, Burned King of Blazewater Bay, rider of Atraxis, a black dragon with bioluminescent spots like smoldering embers and a banded blue tail. We just got the artwork of him in pretty recently. Atraxis is looking cool. Shay may not have it ready,
I do
but
not have it up.
we do have the cool art there. You'll see it in the future then. We also have thanks to our peers of the realm, the mysterious BR, Hand to the King. Hand to the Queen is open right now. Who's going to step up for Ashaya? We have our Hand to the Beard, Suzanne Sinistral, holder of the left-handed Valyrian shears. We have, where am I at here? Got lost. We have Lord Jim the Fortuitous of Wars and Politics of Ice and Fire blog and Warden of the West. He is, of course, something like a lawyer and sometimes partner on panels and episodes. Like I said,
like a lawyer.
He's something like a lawyer. He's really nothing like a lawyer, actually, but the name does have a funny story behind it. I guess you could say he's a good debate partner. He debates a bit like a lawyer, but so do I. That's a compliment. Lord George Stormsville the Cunning is Lord of the Chiliad and Warden of the East. Cabeth the Unfrozen is Lord of the Bricks and Castle Crimson Light, Defender of the Old Gods and Warden of the North. Lady Kelly McMath of Covington is Lady of the Villa Hills and Crescent Springs, Warden of the South. The elite from outside the realm include Lord James Tuttle, King of the Stepstones and the Narrow Sea, Commander of the Royal Fleet, consisting of the Narrow Fleet led by flagship Caraxes and the Bloodstone Fleet led by the flagship Prince Daemon. People who watch our Crusader King stream will know that in our world, the Stepstones have been renamed the Shepstones, thanks to Captain Hamahelmuth. Also, Harrenhal is Hamahal. The Bane Fort is Durin's Bane, and Great Wick is Pretty Good Wick.
I love that one. I really, really, really love that one.
Yes, once we discovered
that
that
Stephen Stark, right?
Stephen Stark, yes. Who I'm about to give a shout out to him too. In just a second here. Also, shout out to Charlotte Oster, Corsair Queen of the Western Shivering Sea, commander of the Briny Fleet, whose flagship is the barnacle-encrusted Violet-hulled Mercenaria. She carries the nacre-inlaid Shucking Blade, Crass Lover. Oh yeah, I didn't even announce when the next CK stream will be. Where I told everybody it's going to be on Twitch. The next one will be Friday. We're going to get it going right away. Next Friday, get that going. So check it out. We'll be announcing it with posts on social media. But yeah, you'll want to make sure you follow us on Twitch to get the notifications and all that. Our Bloodriders. I finally said something wrong. I was doing so well. And I couldn't say the easiest word, Blood Rider. Come on. Okay, they're Blood Riders. Blood Riders? Blood Riders. Vorsaki, wielder of a Valyrian steel Arak with a dragonbone hilt. And Kohol called Sunpiercer, wielder of a dragonbone bow. Our small council is Lord James Inkblade, the Scholar Knight, Master of Whisperers. Lord Robert Jacobs, Master of Coin. Lord Daniel, the Sneaky Russian, Master of Ships. Grandmaster Via James. And Lord Benjen of House Hornwood, Master of Laws. Lords and ladies in their castles include, I just only can't say the section names. Apparently the names, I can say it just fine. Lady Direliz of Castle Naki is the Alpha Patron. Lord Dan of the Red Mountains and Castle Great Bell is Breaker of the Second Stone. Lord Skip of the Veldt is Lord of Castle Ganges. Gregor the Toasty is Lord of the Bread Fort. Alicia Everlasting of the Green Blood is Lady of Desert Rose. Lord Ryan of Castle Stonegate is Guardian of the Rocky Mountain Pass. Lord Garin de Haviland is of Devil's Hand Keep. Ashlyn Winter is the Hawkside, Lady of Castle Skyfall. Lady Mikkel of Moonacre is leader of the Werewood Protectorate Alliance. The Lord of the Halls of Castle Hillcrest is wielder of the Valyrian steel machete Everglazed. Lord Alistair Whitaker is Lord of the Dawnhold. Lord Bemmy Snugglebunny is guardian of the hidden 100-acre Werewood, dual-wielding Glorious Morning and Little Light Wise. When you fear things cannot get worse, Snugglebunny enters the fray. Brian the Defender is Lord of the Spearfort and the Freelands, last scion of Clan McCulloch. Strength and courage is their motto. The Bastard of the Wolfswood is first forester of the Old Gods. Sworn to House Iron Werewood, their motto, listen for the silence. Connor the Dungeon Master is Lord of Catamount Keep and guardian of the Smoky Mountain Pass. Lady Baelish is Dark Widow of Harrenhal. Lord Sidney Jesse the Fallborn is Lord of Blue Spring. Nevesta the Twin-Hearted is suspected skin changer, holder of the Castle Carahelm. Sir Valentin of House to Jen is creator of the Game of Predictions, free Game of Thrones predictions / futures market. Lady Liana Kelly of Wolf Island is protectress of the Steelhold. Casey Stark is of House Acres. Our first sword is Jeff Gnarly the Long Snapper. Our King's Justice is Sir Troy the Steady, wielder of the Valyrian steel blade Fate.
Now we've got my Queen's High Council. We've got Lady My Emerald Eyes, voice of House Swan, mistress of Whisperers. We've got Grandmaster Elizabeth, middle daughter of Leon Mormont, the first lady to forge both the silver and Valyrian steeling, but I've also got some spots open. You can be a mistress of ships, or master of ships, of coin, or of laws.
That's right, and that'd be a good way to help us get to that next Patreon goal of making these
Can I add that to my high
Master of the dance. You sure? It's your high council. You can put whatever you want on there. We should do that. Sean, you're going to have dance battles with Sean, though.
Yeah, my master of the dance will have to go against Sean.
Our Kingsguard is
Keith
commanded.
Furious says, by the way, tell Sean we hit 8,001 on this stream so he owes us a dance.
He owes us a dance.
Yeah, he'll never know.
He won't know that we're not telling the truth. Our Kingsguard is led by the Smiling Wolf, Lord Commander Stephen Stark, cartographer of kings, who earned a white cloak through wisdom and learning as much as skill at arms and at naming.
Hails from pretty good wick.
He hails from pretty good wick, despite being a Stark. They were on campaign when he was born. His mother was traveling with the army. Sir Dolores D is the longest tenured White Sword. Willa Crow's Bane is Guardian of White Tree, First Lady of the Free Folk, and a good friend. Sir Dean the White is Knight of the Black Star. That's a cool reverse.
Now we've got my
concept
Queen's
there.
Guard, which has Lord Captain Commander Haema Helmont, the Sellsword Sentinel. It's got Lady Nymeria of House Sea Purtle, Alexander of House Atreides from the Seat of Dune. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Damn right.
We've got Becca the Bard, Songbird of the North, Sir Eric Redbeard Odinson, Wielder of Tempest, a monstrous warhammer. We've got Michonne the Melodious, Star of Old Town, Minds Over Masters. I always want to say Maesters there because the Old Town thing.
That works
it's gotten
too.
me a bunch of times.
Kind of cool. Minds over Masters.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
kind
good
of liked it too.
pun.
But I've never said it. So at least, see, I messed up too, Aziz. We've got Sir Rambo, Knight of House Gannon, First Blood.
First Blood.
We like
Another
sound effects
Sunny
for that
reference
one.
there. Yeah, dum dum.
Yeah.
Sean's House of the Beard, House
of the Beard.
Beard Guard. His Beard Guard consists of Lord Commander George the Golden, Sir Joshua Oakhart, the White Oak, Lady Rita of the Coppermain, the Unbound, Dance the Fervor,
Lady Rita.
Lady Rita. Not a meter maid, but you know the song applies still. Sir Jeff, Warden of the AC, wielder of Triad, the multifaceted beard of platinum, red and brown. His motto is "Stay Frosty." And Sir Tim Corgyle, Mad Boy of the Western Desert. That's right. Also, shout outs to our History of Westeros' Night's Watch.
History of Westeros. History of Westeros.
Westeros.
Yeah.
Lord Commander Benjen Umber is the Silent Giant.
With my mind on Maester's mind.
That's right. Lord Commander Benjen Umber is the Silent Giant, wielder of the Valyrian Steel Greatsword Winter's Kiss. First Steward Sir Jurian of the Torrentine is called Palewind. We have a new First Ranger and a new First Builder, but upon realizing this, I realize I haven't given them their names yet.
No.
Sorry about that, guys. We'll take care of that shortly, and you will be among the list of the wonderful supporters, as you deserve. So, yeah, I'm always forgetting a name or two because you guys are wonderful with your level of support for History of Westeros, which keeps me on my toes making up new nicknames, although a lot of times you guys have your own cool nicknames, and I love to see that as well. It's one of the fun things about this community, getting to be creative in lots of different random ways like that.
Yeah.
So, with that,
let's see if I can get this intro outro to play.
Yeah. Well, Ashaya is the best, so either way, we appreciate all her technical
Stop talking
works.
real quick, Aziz. 1 sec.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what it was. Okay, it'll be ready to go. Now you can say your goodbye. I just had to
Okay.
get that.
Cool.
Sorry.
No. First things first. Definitely. Got to take care of the technical things. No, I can't. Which is it? Can I talk or not? Okay, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thanks for entering our giveaways. Thanks for all the love. And check us out next time. If any of you didn't get to watch this one, then we'll be back soon.
Too bad.
And
You're still dead to me.
Check me out on
Check you out.
Gemma's Secrets of the Citadel.
tonight, of course. Check him out tonight.
Yeah, Shay won't be there, so
Yeah.
it won't be as cool because it's
Screw you
just
guys.
me. But, you know, you take what you can get. But there's Gemma and Kyle, all those other people, so, you know, there's that. They make up for that. You know, I'm going to make it worse, but they all make up for that, so.
But yeah, so you'll see us there. Like I said, we'll be on Gray Area again pretty shortly. And if you didn't win anything this time, make sure you show up to our next stream because you could win some Shire Post pre-conquest coins, which are really cool. And I will take care of that butt, Preston Cox.
All right, everybody. See you next time. Valar, reread us.